Hello, friends, and welcome to the very first Calrissian Cantina Fireside Chat. I am joined by the most fantastic people in Star Wars casting. I love these guys so much. We are joined by R1, Hammer, and Uplink. Friends, introduce yourselves.
Who goes first?
Yeah,
I go first.
that's a
You go
big
first.
Who's on? Is this the bit part of the show where we don't know what's going on?
You know what?
Who talks first?
R1,
Me?
since you're to my immediate
Hey, all right.
stage, there we go.
Well, I am the ever popular R1H4 dad of the Dadcast here. It's a pleasure to be here today, hanging out with all my Squadrons casting folks. Hey, it's a good day.
Heck yes.
Well, I'm a little hammer. I get loud over games. Yeah, that's about it for me. So.
I think it is the only quality we could base off on Hammer.
I never knew hammers could be so handsome.
Oh.
Hi, I'm
Work
Uplink. I
understand.
run the Uplink Podcast and love Star Wars gaming, and esports. Let's rock and roll.
Hell yeah. And hello, friends. I'm a new face of mine. Steve, I'm usually behind the camera. I'm helping with production. I'm on today because I wanted to do something new and exciting for the community. So we're doing a fireside discussion. We're talking with the casters, getting to know them a little more, and talk about the community and some fun parts of Star Wars. So today we'll be talking to these lovely folks and going through some games. So before we get started, I really wanted to shout out TGS, who's making this happen. They are running production for the event. So TGS is Canada's leader in esports. If you guys want, go check them out, tgs.gg/events. A lot of cool stuff happening there. And yeah, let's get into our discussion, guys, today. Like, what we got going on? We got some exciting brackets going on today as well, and some really cool matches. What are we seeing out there?
Well, Quench, before we get into that, I do have to ask. You mentioned you were the man behind the scenes. What do you got going on behind the scenes over there? You got some Star Wars guys pinned up on the wall behind you?
Yeah, I've been a figure collection and enthusiast since 95, 97 when they re-released the original trilogy in theaters. So do you guys ever have a Kmart, or do you guys know of Kmart brand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there used to be
the
a
rare
Kmart.
Kmart.
the rare
Rare
Kmart. I'm aging myself here, but we had a Kmart in my hometown, and I just vividly remember always going there and getting figures like once a month with my baba or grandma, as you guys may know. And let me see if I have my first figure. Here we go. So this is my first Star Wars figure I ever got. It was a C-3PO, and
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
the gold one too, the fancy boy. Yeah, what year is this from? 95. This is from 1995, so that is old.
I was
Yeah.
a few months old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Little baby hammer, just freshly dropped off at Rona. So, but yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars and lore guy. I love talking about the figures and lore. There's a lot of cool stuff. I also have some of the newer figures on the wall here too that you don't see in the shot, but we have a lot of the vintage figures. Really big fan of those. So
Nice. All right. Well, sorry about cutting you off there. I figured that would be a good time as any to ask.
Oh no, absolutely. That's so cool. I was like, I'm on the spot about Star Wars toys. This is a first. So, but yeah, I've loved Star Wars whole life, like bunch of you guys too. So like the games too. So like there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about in the scene, obviously. But actually, this is one of my favorite collectibles too. Is I actually have one of the Taco Bell staff shirts when they. This is my favorite eBay find, to be honest. I got it maybe a year ago. I just was like, man, I was going through my Star Wars stuff. I'm like, what don't I have? I don't have any like really cool merch. And as anyone that knows me knows, I love the prequels.
Taco Bell
and
Star Wars.
This came out during the prequel era. This is from 1999, so it was just before. This is when they were doing the Taco Bell KFC promotion where they were giving away the bucket lids. And I was like, I need to start finding some of this old vintage stuff. I saw Hammer turn his head like, what?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Man, do you ever see any of the old KFC bucket? Man, the Jar Jar Binks lids. Oh, it was crazy, man. It was wild marketing back in the day, man, because marketing was unhinged. It was a lot of fun. So.
Oh yeah, we had not necessarily tied into that, but we had a full Darth Maul suit, like head that you could wear. That just looked like the really weird, like it feels weird plastic ones, and then we also had a Jar Jar one that was huge. It was like maybe like this big.
That's incredible.
But it was around that same time. It was
See,
like late 90s.
I had to make my own like Star Wars merch. Like when Squadrons came out, I had to make myself an A-wing pilot shirt and everything just to get ready for it all. Yeah, good times.
That's awesome.
That would also be the first time I'd grown a mustache for this this game.
I was gonna say it as well. Like, so your shirt reminds me of probably one of my favorite scenes from Return of the Jedi, with the guy that just smokes into the super Star Destroyer and takes it out. So, is that why you made it?
I made it because I was an A-wing pilot, if you want to call it that, back in the X-wing slash X-wing versus TIE Fighter slash X-wing Alliance days. A-wing has always been sort of my favorite Star Wars canon ship, and when this came out, I said, well, I'm going to be our interceptor pilot, and I was just that guy. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That was it. I just absolutely love it. And then, of course, it got a kind of a bad name when the game first came out. Oh, well, of course you fly an A-wing. Okay, fine, all right. And then I had to switch from there. What are you going to do? Peer pressure sometimes. Oops, all A-wings.
Oops, all A-wings. God, that's probably one of my favorite Squadrons memes. Is like when you guys go, oops, all X-wing, oops, all defenders. It's the funniest thing to me when I'm like, so we have a really, really cool production team at TGS, and they're helping us run the space. So Jordan J, shout out to them. We lose it every time you guys make those jokes. We just laugh. It's the funniest thing to us. So. But I want to speak about favorite canon ships now, since we're talking about that. We know R1 loves the A-Wing. Is there another ship that really takes your heart?
Oh, man. I going to say, let's see. For me personally, nah, man, I got to say it really is that A-Wing. I really love it to death. If I could, if I was playing a miniatures game, or if I was going to build a model of anything, it's going to be an A-Wing. Sorry. That's it.
You don't gotta be sorry here. Hammer, how about you?
That's right.
All right. As some people know, I'm a fan of the big old thick bombers. I've got my handy dandy B-wing I had as a kid. Get that in the camera, beautiful. I also wanted to share too. You know the old like pinups, right? It's just the risque B-wing. Beautiful little diagram.
All right, is this stream gonna get taken down?
Please take this.
You better be careful with that.
Is this against TOS?
just unfiltered bomber.
Uplink, how about you? Do you have a favorite ship, favorite class?
Yeah, so always a fan of the Scimitar. That's been my fave. I love the Scimitar. That was like my favorite Lego set. That's the one I always wanted. I still have to this day never gotten it, but that was the Lego set I always craved, was the Scimitar.
Nice. That's really cool. And then
I was going to say that reminds me, actually, the other. Now I did remember. The other one is the. I think it is also. Oh man, is it in our systems or not? You would know, Quench. The assault gunboat. The made for TIE Fighter, assault gunboat ship was my favorite throughout all those. Maybe a little OP. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but. That was fantastic, and that was always one of those things like, well, maybe we could get that in Squadrons. Maybe somebody, maybe that'll be the way the Empire can get shields on something, and then we got the TIE Defender, and that's basically an assault everything ship. So that works.
Definitely is in our fleet system ship. Yeah, but we're talking about the same one from the miniatures game, correct?
Yes, also the same one for the miniatures game
like
as well.
A transformer.
Yes.
Yeah, because like that thing is just a flying tank.
It's kind of like it's like a smaller version of the Imperial shuttle, right? Just with a lot of missile racks on it instead of transport capabilities. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, what if we carried missiles instead of people? And they're like, brilliant.
Well, let's do it. Done.
They're like, make it happen. It's a really cool ship, and I think if they added another layer to this game and they started adding like an additional support ship, or just, hey, let's throw in a flying tank, I think we'd probably see that on the Imperial side. And then Rebels, I can definitely see us seeing a retrofitted New Republic gunship is what I'd probably end up seeing. Yeah.
What about you, Quench? Which is your fave?
So I have two.
Turn the tides on
you. On the spot again. I'm definitely a big TIE Bomber fan. TIE Bomber has been one of my favorite ships. It comes down to the noise, but also just like kind of like the cool stuff about it. Like it doubles as a troop transport as well. So if you guys had a chance to play the game in VR, you can turn around and actually see there's like 6 seats. So you could just, imagine TIE Bombers like, hey, we're vibing with the homies today. Take my kid to work day. Like probably don't advise that. But then my other favorite ship is the Outrider Dash Rendar ship. I just love that ship. The design, the sounds from Shadows of the Empire when you actually fire it. That's just like, oh. And then it's the atmosphere of that game too. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite ships because of that.
I was going to say, whenever we end up playing tabletop or miniatures or any kind of Star Wars related board game or with folks, the Shadows of the Empire soundtrack is always the one that's picked to go on in the background. That is some good stuff.
Yeah, just my heart. I just love the music from that game is just phenomenal. I believe it set really the standard of like Star Wars music for games afterwards. And to be honest, like all the Star Wars music for games is fantastic, but it's just like that is so nostalgic. You play that soundtrack and you just immediately get taken back. So
right, you just know. Oh, that's where I'm at. I'm running around on Hoth trying to gun down snowtroopers. That's where it's at.
For me, it's the narrator of the Rogue Squadron games, like that voice.
Nice.
Brings me right back.
Oh, you know what? I have it in my head now. Just like world devastators are destroying Mon Calamari, and it's like,
yes.
Now I'm just like, you know what? World devastators. We haven't seen or heard of those in a long time. I think those are decanonized now. Unfortunately,
I think so. Maybe for better, maybe for worse. Nobody knows. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, they were just like literally world devastators, but it makes me laugh at like how easy you can take those down with. I believe it was the original V-wing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because I was like, oh yeah, what's another ship that was cool? The V-wing, and I remember it being like the final mission of the first Rogue Squadron game, right?
Yeah, so random.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the world devastator. Didn't they just look like big garbage trucks that you plant on a planet and it just suck everything up? Like I didn't understand the technology. Maybe that was just sort of beyond me, But
they were giant gonk droids. So
Yeah.
they weren't saying gonk; they were saying
big trapezoids.
But I think that was also one of the first appearances for the TIE Phantom, and because those were like the little droids. Oh my god!
Yeah.
So devastating. Haha, play on. So yeah, I said gonk.
Gonk.
But yeah, we know about your favorite ships now. So Uplink, kind of lead me through this a little bit. We all know that you have Uplink Podcasts. You've been doing that since what, 2015, 2016?
Yeah, so we launched 9 days before Battlefront 2015 came out.
Incredible.
And back then it was the Battlefront podcast, and then in October of 2020 we rebranded. I did a large documentary on the turnaround of Battlefront 2 and rebranded into Uplink. And we'd done like a spin-off podcast called Star Wars Uplink, but around the time the only game that was out was Star Wars Battlefront, so why would you have a separate podcast when everyone wanted to know about Battlefront?
Right.
So we rebranded Battlefront podcast to Uplink, and the rest is history. We've been doing the 22nd episode of the podcast in terms of Uplink, so the 222nd really will be coming out tomorrow, talking to all things about the possibility of Battlefront 3 and the leaks and rumors around the Ubisoft Star Wars game.
That's exciting, and I'm definitely going to tune in because both those, as you can tell by my IRL pog, I was like, that's stuff that I'm super interested in myself, so I'm definitely going to have to take a listen. But in your most recent episode, you talk about Lego Star Wars and everything you know. Can you give us a bit of a teal? Give us that hook. Make us listen to the full episode. Get us all in.
Okay. So, as we all know, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is one of the most hotly anticipated Star Wars games that is on the horizon. It's the one we knew for sure. We knew for sure that was going to come out soon. And then it was originally going to come out in 2020, around the same time we assumed as Squadrons. We saw some delays. So we're like, okay, it's getting moved to spring 2021. That makes sense. COVID and all that stuff. And then we also got an indefinite delay to recently that they're still going to be working on the game. They're working on making it a robust experience, making sure they have it and make sure it lives up to the expectations of people. So we have that history there. We don't know when it's going to come out. We don't know how that will look. It's a huge, huge game. People are super pumped for it. I was talking with Azatru, a big voice in the community in the Star Wars Battlefront scene, and we were talking about, because there's the concern that, we've got another delayed game. It's going to be Cyberpunk 2020 or 2078.
Yeah.
But again, delays are never a bad thing. Miyamoto has this quote: "A delayed game is a good game if they can get those things worked out, but it's better a late game than an early game that turns out to be bad." So
100% agree with that. Like, I have so many memories playing the Lego Star Wars games. I assume everyone here has dived in a little bit.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Iconic.
good. I was like True Jedi ending. Oh, it's such a
Oh,
fun
yes.
game. Like, I
True
love the
Jedi.
memes around it too. So, but like,
Yeah.
do you guys have some favorite moments of playing the Lego Star Wars games? Is there anything that really stood out to you when you're playing? You're like, yeah, I love these games.
Playing with my brothers, we had a GameCube. That's the console that we grew up with a lot. Was the GameCube, and we would stay up late playing, sneaking and trying to turn down the volume, play
Love
as
it.
much Lego Star Wars as we could. And I remember this key moment, playing Yoda with his little his little floaty chair. And then going around and discovering the beach troopers. Again, my favorite part of the Lego Star Wars games were the beach troopers. You unlock this hidden room and you see all of these troopers in bikinis rocking out in a hot tub.
So funny. Yeah, I remember that stuff. That was a good part of the childhood growing up with Star Wars.
Hmm.
Hammer.
There was a
how about you?
sandbox mode, right? I'm having like memories of like the original Trilogy Lego game. There was like a sandbox mode where you beat the game and then you could just do whatever. And that's like where most of my memories are, just like destroying
Okay.
things, building them, and like gibbing like stormtroopers and making them like fall into bits.
That's interesting. I don't remember that, but you know what?
Was it the hidden room that you usually see like Indiana Jones on the outside of? I think.
Maybe I need to find this because yeah, it's like maybe
That's
it might
really
have been if you
funny.
like got like give you like 100% of the game.
Okay,
I don't know.
I think I know what you're talking about. It was in
Mr.
a
Dinko
complete
is letting
saga.
us out. That is from the Clone Wars. So
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Was it? I
yeah,
thought there was something else. There was like a hidden room that you could unlock in the complete saga, but I can't remember what was actually in it. So
how about you, R1? Do you have any Lego Star Wars memories and moments?
I was gonna say these days it's mostly playing Lego Star Wars with my kids, believe it or not, and having them run around and enjoying. I guess you could say, if anything, the comedy that they build into all the different cutscenes, right? So using all of those different sort of scenes from Star Wars that are very iconic, and then just throwing random comedy in there all the time. We're always fantastic, great dad jokes, etc. In there,
Yeah.
I'd be laughing. My kids would be like, what's so funny, Dad? You wouldn't get a kid. Wait 20 years, you're good.
Give you 20 years.
you'll understand when you're older.
Looks
Say
like
when
we're
you're-
jumping into our first match here to watch and kind of chat about. Pretty excited. We're gonna take a look at their loadouts, chat about that. It's gonna be a blast. We got some good stuff coming up. And thank you all for tuning in and getting ready for this. It's gonna be exciting. Thank you all for joining us today. Just a quick reminder: today we are here for the Calrissian Cup, and we are flying for sick kids. Our goal is to raise over $1,000, and our goal has now been pushed to $4,000 this year. And if you guys want to hit exclamation point sick kids, you guys can check out our goal and help us reach it. So with your help, we can help out some sick kids in need. So pretty excited to help out. Oh, what we got going on here?
So this is orange versus is this shrapnel?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
I was gonna say I recognized you on there.
Oh, we got we got a few Goliath missiles out there. This is gonna be fun.
Some good old.
I remember
real-time dumbfire.
early Squadrons day when everyone had a Goliath missile and people just ram right into it thinking they were invincible. It was the funniest thing to me.
Dude, I miss the day of the TIE Bomber Assault Shield meme beam. Like, there are some
Yeah.
people that bring that back, but like it was like 1.0. I just do that like every game and just win.
Yeah, like
It's
that
bad,
has
but it was
changed
fun.
so much. Man, I miss the TIE Bomber Yeet Beam.
Yeah.
You call it the meme beam. I call it the yeet beam because we get hit with you're getting yeeted. To be honest, so it's just the sound effect of it powering up to the. And it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds really dumb, but I have this thing called a butt kicker. You can Google it. What it is like it's like this chair like subwoofer, and basically it takes all like the low noises and it makes like your chair vibrate. And
I was
the
wondering
meme
where that
beam,
was going.
yeah, the meme beam with this butt kicker like just like shakes your whole desk. It's amazing. Love it.
Ooh, right,
Goodness
we got
gracious.
2 Y wings. We got the A wing here in support and the X wing here. Boy howdy.
So we're what did you say, Steve? We're nearing the 200th day of Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah.
And what have been all of your experiences with this new game? It's crazy to think 200 days have already passed, and we're heading to in October. We'll be celebrating the first year of Star Wars Squadrons. What have been your experiences with the growth of the community?
I'll jump in first. It's been a lot of fun actually playing in these with some community events and getting to know everyone. My big thing has been seeing how receptive the team at Motive has been to what we've been talking about in the community, and like adding things in. Like the TIE Defender came out of nowhere. That was, speaking of TIE Defender, it was a fan favorite. People wanted it. We wanted a B-Wing. We're talking about it, and then boom, it's in the game. So it's just been really, really cool to have those experiences where knowing that the developers are always listening, they're always out there for us. So it's been really rewarding. How about you, Hammer?
That's a good. Let me think for just 1 second. What blows my mind is like, it's 200 days, which doesn't feel like a lot of time, but then like it feels like it's been years. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, just the amount of stuff that's happened, right? Like SCL has been a blast. The Cal Cup has been a blast. It's been great. I've been enjoying a lot of it. I've been enjoying the meta shifts too. As players find out things like the shield disables on the ISD. No, it's been great. No complaints. I do enjoy getting into a game that actually uses joysticks again too, because like that's how I played all my games as a kid too. So.
Oh man,
it is super cool to finally have a competitive game that uses that control scheme, because it's all just muscle memory.
I actually ended up buying a flight stick for this game because the last time I needed a flight stick was for Ace Combat on Xbox. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy a flight stick for Ace Combat because it's like this was before Ace Combat even came to PC. I'm like, it's not worth it. And then Squadrons came out. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. When Battlefront 2 came out and I knew there was Starfighter Assault, I was kind of hoping there'd be HOTAS support, but there wasn't. So that really bummed me out. So I got really good with keyboard mouse. And
you actually did keyboard and mouse on Starfighter Assault?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Gosh, beast.
We should play sometime. I'm not bad. So
yeah, we definitely should. That was like one of my fave game modes in Battlefront 2015.
Yep. I absolutely loved it. It was definitely, I'd say Starfighter Assault was one of the things that reinvigorated my love for Star Wars games. Not that I never loved it, but it got me really amped about, hey, there's something really cool here. There's a lot going on, and like, I just loved it. It was just something like over the shipyards there. I built is it the Kuwait shipyards there? That map was just such a blast to play. I often just go into AI matches, put on some. I like listen to the Midnight, just kind of put some music out there, and just you listen to some beautiful music and just have a good time zipping through space as the TIE Interceptor taking out, X-Wings.
Yeah. I could also see some AC/DC like really pairing well with that. I feel like Iron Man.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that there. It's just like it's such a good game mode, and I would never have expected it to evolve into this. I mean, that was always my hope, but like to see it now, it's just like, wow, we're here.
Oh yeah, and how fleshed out it is, like like
I mean, I remember playing for the re-release of Battlefront, right? I was a console guy, for a while. Still, of course, had a PC, right? But it was more accessible. I could play with a joystick, and I could play from my living room couch. And it was nice to kick back in the dad easy chair and play some Battlefront.
Easy chair.
And then. And then Battlefront 2 came out, and the space combat mode was even a little bit more refined, and I loved it. I played the living daylights out of it. I enjoyed being the guy that blew the living daylights out of everybody else. And then it led into Squadrons, and it was that iteration there, right? All the different refinements that were made along the way. Oh yeah, and of course the VR experience that was that Rogue One campaign, right?
What a
that
dream.
Really made this reality. It was unheard of at the time. It was a fantastic experience, and hey, that's why, at least for me and all of my whatever you want to call it, Dad Squad buddies, we bought full-on setups that we were gonna, you know what, hey, we're going all in on this VR stuff. It is still to me the most immersive VR experience you can possibly get, given today's technology.
Well, yeah, you have the tactile hand on the joystick, right? The thing, like, I have an Oculus, and like when you're playing like Half-Life Alyx, you don't have the tactile feedback of like the thing you're picking up. But you got that joystick in your hand. You put the throttle where you see the throttle on like your body, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, I'm in the A-wing. Like, blows my mind.
That's such, like, I know what you're talking about because I had a chance to experience it with my friend, and it was such a surreal experience. I remember my wife making fun of me because I was crying. I shed a tear. I was like, "This is so beautiful." She's like, "Are you okay?"
So
and I'm
great.
Like, it was funny because I was like,
You just don't know. You don't understand how long we've been alive waiting to experience this.
Did you guys
And now we have it.
Did you guys have to fight through that motion sickness wall, though, when you got this game? Because, like, the first week, I was, like, sick after 20 minutes. I'd put the game down, like, go basically dry heave, then come back to the game and, like, I'm gonna learn. Like, I'm gonna teach my body to be able to fly in space.
It's so funny you bring that up as we're watching literally Phoenix do all these crazy drifts and like dead drifts and just like yeet, like he's just taking on this cruiser by himself. And it's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like these fast turns, like they are nauseating and they make you like, especially in VR players, man, like, oh boy, howdy, like let's observe. Look at this little turn. Boom. I'd be like
the moment. The moment like your headset has a hitch too, and you're like, oh, the reality's not normal. Like,
I don't know. I never ended up with it. I don't know if it was just all the years I logged in all the original games or not, but like I got in it and I felt like I was finally home. Like this is where I needed to live. This is where I need to live for the rest of my life.
Remember when this game got announced and the trailer, like where it's like the X-Wing getting damaged, right? And like they announced it was going to be VR. I just flipped out. Yeah. Like I got in my buddy's Discord and like I typed in all caps for like 30 messages like guys, it's happening.
So I actually have a question for you, Arwen, because I think we are a little more on the dated side of things here.
Maybe, yeah.
Did you ever
the silver mane on my end gave it away, yeah.
The one gray hair in my beard. Did you happen to play the old Star Wars arcade at actual arcades?
Oh, are you talking about the Vector? Yes, absolutely. And it was at the Chuck E. Cheese that I would go to every once in a while. And yes, you could sit down in that Vector graphics machine and just like feel that same type of immersion that you can feel here now. What?
It's crazy because
boy, 30 years later.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look at that machine and just like have that experience then and look at this now. Like it's funny as a kid, that's what I envisioned this was.
Right.
Yeah, like it's so like so wild to me, like when we're playing like these games, like what we're seeing now is what we saw playing those retro games and like even TIE Fighter vs. X-Wing on PC in like the early 90s. Like this is how we saw it. So it's so crazy.
There was always that element of and that we saw through those poor graphics and stuff like that, and imagined that universe we were actually flying around in. And the sound of Star Wars has always been spectacular, right? And that immersion that you get with that sound allows you to, allows your brain to imagine more of the visual elements of things. Right. And man, no, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh man, such a cool cut there. Whoever's driving the cams right now, beautiful. I love that. There's something satisfying about seeing a TIE fighter just go full tilt speed, zip on in, do a drift, and you pew 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 unload it. Love it. Things you love to see. Actually, fun fact, which we probably all know from playing the game here, but like I just love the stripes. The red stripes just always get me, and the Imperial Guard red on those TIE Defenders. Love it. Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite ship layout yourselves?
Like the skin?
Paint job. Yeah, skin. Is there one that makes you go,
the rusty ones.
I was about to say the rusty ones are so good.
Oh man, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't abide. Like I have to be the clean lines guy. I do enjoy.
Like if that was my ship, I'd be so disappointed in
myself. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, come on. Like, where am I docking this thing on the weekends that this is gonna turn out this way?
You won't get robbed if that's what your ship looks like, though.
I enjoy the single or whatever you want to call it, the white stripes, and or if you get the purple stripe with the was it the twin suns, the little golden half moon that you can get on there too? Just a little bit of flavor. No, that's where it's at for me.
Oh man, they're already on this MC75. This is cool.
Add a little bit of spice.
I just love just parking there and just unloading, and then like, am I gonna get out of here? Are they? Oh, they did.
Well, he's in
Good
a
job.
TIE bomber or TIE fighter with a repair. He might get out of there.
That
They
was
have boost extension
pretty
too?
intense.
Huh. Nice.
Nice.
So
Nice. See what
speaking
Ando's up to
speaking
here.
of like I don't want to say generational differences. That sounds way too extreme. But
You can say it.
Uplink, were you an XVT player or were you like me and you play Rogue Squadron? Because like there's like I
Rogue
noticed there's
Squadron
like
all the
two
way.
there's like two camps of people that play this game.
I did play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, but Rogue Squadron is where my heart is. That's where my home is.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Also,
like,
the exclusive GameCube ones, like I said
Yes.
earlier, I'm a GameCube
the wave
guy.
mode? Like
Oh, yes.
that was so much fun. And the fact that 3 had co-op version of 2, like
Yep.
so much value. I broke my GameCube disc because I played it too much. It's a big bummer. Like it would stop working. Like it would you'd load into a
I may
mission
still
and it would
have
try to
mine
play.
somewhere.
Ooh. The sad thing though is like the bit rot, right? Like those discs have a limited time span left. Luckily, I mean, I can't endorse it, but if you own the game, there's always Dolphin.
Yeah, it's so funny you bring up Rogue Squadron being like your like entry point to Star Wars. Did you ever do as a kid? I'm not saying cheat now. Did you do any of the retro cheats where you can actually get George
Oh,
Lucas's
100%. Rudy's
Corvette?
car, man.
I lost it.
Yeah.
That was so funny flying around as that car. It
Rudy,
looks
there's
like-
a whole like Star Wars Wikipedia page about that car and how it's like pseudo canon, and it's like the most OP ship in the Star Wars galaxy.
Love it. All right, that was first around here. That was very exciting.
47 AI on APOG. Look at that. Bam. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
We know who our Y-wing pilot was then. Yeah, just like I find like when like being a bomber, it's like essential that you are AI farming here. Like I feel like that's obviously it's part of the role, because I remember there was that really cool graphic that went on competitive Squadrons when the game. I think it was like a first or second month. I can't remember who did it, but like it was probably one of the most important graphics to kind of help establish a scene of like your lanes. And it really, in my mind, kind of made this a MOBA, but not a MOBA, because it's 5 people, lanes, knowing your positions. And it was like bombers, your target is this. Interceptors, you're always doing this, and X-wing TIE fighters, you're always doing
Are you
this.
talking
and-
about that football graphic?
Yeah.
Yes, that was
yeah.
Crate Academy, whatever you call it. But either way, the Crate Squadron Discord came out with that. That was also a sort of a novel insight for Dad Squadron as well when we were in our infancy. It was even just it's amazing to kind of see how much the player community has dove into all of these different elements of the game with not a ton of explanation on how the game actually works, right? And they've deciphered all of these things just over the past few months, right? We now have a relatively standard or a set meta on, hey, this is how you approach things. This is how you can do these different things. Sure, you're going to have deviations here or there as people try to find, try to build that better mousetrap, but it's cool to see how things have evolved so well and so quickly just over these past 200 days.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Like looking at the first Operation Ace and then the Crater Clash, and you're looking at all of those, and you see goops like myself and Captain Quinch over here with Uplink Squadron, like looking
was so
back at our plays, it's like,
You know what's funny is like
Don't even
actually
wanna think
looking at
about
like the Creator Clash was like not the first weekend of Squadrons, but I believe it was like the third week. I'm correct?
yeah, it was
Ish.
pretty close to the launch of it.
Yeah, like that was like it was a launch event. I remember like just playing, and I had the most ridiculous bomber layout. It was rotary cannons, Goliath, and then multi-lock missile, and I was like, pew 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 pew. We did not bad, but like
not bad, but
at that time there was no
At the time, there was
Yeah.
nothing better.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
what you did.
Funny you had rotary multi-lock Goliath. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a standard bomber thing now. So
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's just me. I was like, this looks good. It was funny
it had,
because
it had the big brain.
I chose that layout based on I like the rotary because the sound it made, I like the Goliath because of the big boom. That was literally my
Yep.
whole reasoning. There was no other reason why I did it. I was just like,
Pew pew boom.
it looks cool.
Yeah.
I like it. And then
Yeah.
I felt my
Oh
brain
man,
went,
the rotary cannon was so good. Launch rotary cannon.
Oh,
Oh,
you can just track
Bring it
aliens?
back.
Oh yeah.
Stupid.
I mean,
Bring it
no
back.
kidding, right? Bring it back. I mean, that was the era of oops all TIE bombers. I mean,
Yeah.
that was essentially what we did. Like, oh hey, Dad Squadron's down. All right, well everybody get into TIE bombers. Let's do this thing, and then okay, that's it. And that was the end of it.
The
good
DPS on the
times.
TIE bomber. I mean, it still has amazing DPS though.
Yeah,
in the TIE
yeah,
bomber's
yeah.
defense, even with the movement nerfs, and with players pinballing, you can still just like send so much damage downrange.
yeah, you really can.
You just shunt charge, like bada bing, bada boom, and then you got like double your overcharge rotaries, man. Oh, like insane.
Don't
Yeah,
tease me.
sweat.
It's just, oh boy. So there's some abilities that are in Starfighter Assault and Battlefront 2 that I don't know if you guys are all familiar with. I think maybe Uplink may be a little more experienced with those. I think R1, you said you've played a little bit of Squadron Assault as well.
It's been a little while since I've switched over to Squadrons full time, but yeah.
Are there any abilities or power-ups from Starfighter Assault that you'd like to see transition over to Squadrons maybe in the future? Or if the roadmap allows for a Squadrons 2, which obviously we're all hoping
Oh,
for,
come on.
or an
Squadrons
addition.
2,
'Cause-
that'd be great.
oh boy, don't get me sweating. We need more of that story because I actually loved the single-player story for Squadrons. It was really well done.
Yeah.
No Jedis. It's great. Like I like Star
No
Wars
Jedis.
stories in the universe, right? Like
Yeah.
it's everything else, you know.
That's what made it so good. It was just here's
Mm-hmm.
some angry people. I'm like, oh, it's pretty
Right.
good.
Oh, that's
This
it.
is
Oh,
great.
okay. Cool.
Angry people.
Angry people. We could write a story around that. Cool.
Let's
Done.
do
play
it.
as, you play as a guy who like got forced in the mines for like 10 years, and now you want revenge. Like, get at him.
All right.
I'm down.
done.
Yeah, let's yeet some things. So
Yeah. That's a good question though. While I love Battlefront 2015, I have so much nostalgia for Battlefront 2015. The controls on that game are pretty janky, especially the Starfighter stuff.
The mouse and the
and the-
movement.
Yeah.
The improvement from Battlefront 2015 to Battlefront 2 was such a huge jump, and the next step from Battlefront 2 to Squadrons was like you're playing Battlefront 2 and you're playing that like this is peak Starfighter gameplay here.
yeah,
And then you go to Squadrons, you're like, never mind, that other thing was trash. This is even
Yeah.
better.
a lot of people thought I was crazy for playing Starfighter Assault in Battlefront 2 in first person. That's the only way I can play it, even with the droids.
I was just about to say something about that. Like my personal thing, like third person all the way. Like if there was going to be if there's going to be a Squadrons 2, what I would have loved is if there eventually does happen, I would love to see a third person perspective. So that's how I enjoy playing it. But
Hey, that's totally
Um,
allowed.
but it is
Understandable.
good
It's the Rogue
to
Squadron.
have Squadrons be first person's perspective because it evens the playing field in such a great way.
It reminds me of the argument of first versus third person shooters, right? You can't peek corners in first, but you can in third. I mean, similar thing with the third person ship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third person ship. I just love that term. Like, what corners are you gonna peek in space? So
You know, it was always interesting. I'm also, I'm of the appropriate age, perhaps, to also be a mech warrior pilot these days. And it was
I love Mech
it was
Warrior.
it was always a big thing, right? Whether you were going to play first person or third person on that, and there was always it's the future. There's just a little drone flying behind you. Why wouldn't you be able to see yourself third person, right? Yeah, why not? You're just in a giant, walking fusion reactor that doesn't really have a targeting system. Okay, sure, fine, why not? You could have a little drone behind you. Star Wars is just a little bit different, right? Like they kind of intentionally set it in that very like World War II-ish like style of fighter combat.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of like the fact that you're locked into first person. No, nothing personal.
R1.
I think I may have
agree.
even made sure when I was playing all of the Battlefront space combat that I was also always in first person for that, because that's just the way I don't know, that level of immersion. That's just the way I like to play it. Is it
Yeah.
probably better? Nah.
No.
I'd probably be better. I'd be better at shooting people down if I was in third person. But hey, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. The thing with Battlefront 2 was that the whole, if you do play in first person perspective, most people are playing in third person perspective. So you are at a disadvantage. The thing with Squadrons, though, is everyone is in first person.
Right.
And that's such an evening of the playing field. Everyone, and it's also one of the few games where you have the consoles almost at a bigger advantage against those who are playing mouse and keyboard than previous games.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. I know that I loved the way the controls felt just with that PlayStation gamepad, right? It was smooth like butter when you were trying to fly those ships around in Battlefront 2.
Speaking of advantages to your cam modes, do you guys have film grain on your squadron settings? We discovered this in Gray Squadron a while ago. But when you target subsystems and you have film grain on, you will see the outline. You see like a red box around the subsystems. It'll see through everything.
No way.
Yeah. So if you're flying like Fostar, for example, and you're like going in the bottom like chunk under the fishbowl, you can exactly see where the shields are, because the red just shows up through all of your HUD. It's like, again, you talk about like features that weren't well documented or just weren't documented for us to find. There's one right there. So
that's actually interesting.
Film grain. What? I appreciate the experience. I understand why you might want to have that on, but listen, I'm here because I want to live in this thing, not because I want to see it on a piece of film.
Yeah.
And apparently I've just been doing it wrong the whole time.
That's actually so interesting.
Yeah.
That is we'll call it Hammer's fun fact of the day.
Yeah,
there you go.
It makes doing shield pops on the MC-75 way easier in a TIE bomber, right? Because you're like you can sneak up and fly around anything. Also, other cool thing, we can see it right here on the Empire ships. When you're playing in VR, that little targeting computer will show you the orientation of ships. It'll also show you the orientation of the MC-75 if you target it. So let's say like you're boosting all of the MC-75 shields and you're like doing like a shunt rotary and then just dumping all your oxes into it, and then you like shunt boost or charge boost, then you like bounce off the ship. If you're targeting the MC-75, you can fly whatever direction, you can figure it out. So you don't have to like think too hard about where you're going, just reorient yourself. That is how easy way to get out or stay in and do a second run on a subsystem without getting like laser damaged.
Yeah, like I know I've always used it in terms of like trying to determine, okay, well, is this guy chasing me or flying away or all those other types of things? What's his angle of attack? But never quite used it for orientation of the capital ships.
That's very useful and very. Oh, look, hammer tips. There we go. We got another one.
You can see it with the Nebulon B right there too. With It only the problem the thing I don't like is that on the New Republic, when you target the ISD, it just gives you a static image. So it's only Empire useful, but at least you can see the fighters in their third person.
Oh, this guy just got lit up. So it's so interesting. I like that's such an interesting fun fact here. I love that.
Little Squadrons fun fact.
Here's a fun fact for you that I'd like to share is the Nebulon B frigates. Did you know those are medical carriers?
Yes, it was
the campaign,
that was
right?
what they declared as they've targeted the medical frigate in the Return of the Jedi, and that was one of the first ships that was blown up by the Death Star.
I was like, what about those people? They're just like,
What about all those people? Why did we fly this medical frigate straight into an attack formation against the Death Star?
Why did we think this was a good idea?
Why wouldn't we keep our support ship in the back? I don't know. That's right, it was. It's true. In every sense of the word, it was
It's just like, and I just remember some other facts about the Nebulon B. It's like, that's where Luke got his hand fixed, so fun fact.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Like, it's the end of episode 5, right? Like, he's like in the tube or something?
That's where
he's in that tube.
He's in the tube. No, that's, he's just getting his hand repaired after his fight with Vader there.
All right. I have to quote unquote hammer in on that real quick. Right. I mean, I grew up in an era where we didn't have like all of these episodes to keep track of, so it was always just Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. we never I can't think of anybody even sort of in that age band that have ever referred to it as episode 5 unless they really, really had to be specific. Is that something maybe even just with when you're talking to folks like, I don't want to say in your age bracket because I don't think you're that much younger than all of us, but is that something you see or feel? Like, is that tangible to you there?
That's how we've always talked episode. Like, because when episode 1 came out, right, I was like 4 years old, I think. So like, hot take incoming. I thought Jar Jar was funny as shit. I thought he was amazing, hilarious. He dropped stuff on the table, like, oh, it just worked. My mind's always been on the prequels. So like, you know, reading the books as a kid, like there's the Mace Windu series, there's the Star Wars MedStar, like that was my book series. And I've always thought of it as like episode 1 to episode 6. That's what I've known. As RD2 says, yeah, Jar Jar was designed for children. I was a child, and it worked. I had the figures. I loved it.
It's wild, yeah. I mean, heck, okay, all right. Well, I was the kid, in high school at the time, bringing a lightsaber to school and having like Mace Windu, or excuse me, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn duels in like the band room type of kid, like
so cool.
super freaking nerdy. But right, like that was my era for it, and we were all like, well, who's this Jar Jar guy? What is he even doing here? Like, all right, well, let's focus on what's really cool, these lightsaber guys over here. But you're absolutely right. I mean, when we go back to watch it, that's what my 9-year-old and my 6-year-old they freaking think Jar Jar's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up the
and
saying
Maul
of
was
like,
the coolest thing. Oh my goodness.
Oh, what fun.
Like the definition of evil. Oh, it was so cool. And
it just
freaky.
how the
Freaked
Clone
me out
Wars
as a kid
expanded
too.
on him too, just like the way they actually gave him a full story.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. If you guys aren't watching Clone Wars on Disney Plus right now, please do yourself a service and do it. You are missing out.
Speaking of which,
100%.
that it's Tarkovsky. I'm gonna mispronounce the name and butcher it, but that 2003 animated Clone Wars show.
That was Clone Wars.
That
no kidding,
so
right?
Good. I had VHSs that like you could record on. My mom got them for me, and I have this like the commercials included, just these like 10-hour block of just Clone Wars shorts. And I went and I rewatched all the time. Oh, beautiful.
Like
it was. Oh, sorry, Steve.
No, I was just gonna say it was incredible. I just remember watching that. Like it was late night on Cartoon Network here, and just like watching it and go like, this is so cool.
Like, favorite fight in Star Wars for me is that Clone Wars show when he fights Asajj Ventress in the forest, where there's like no sound, and it's like a 3-minute, 4-minute fight, and they're just going in between the trees, Samurai Jack style. That fight like defined how I view Star Wars. 100% no cap.
Love it.
The combat in that show was just so solid and so tight.
Yeah.
And you see it. You see the inspiration that they had on the prequel series as well, with those super tight fight sequences in the prequel series.
R1, what were you gonna say there as well?
I was gonna say, so no, I was in the same boat. I was hanging out with my buddies playing Mech Warrior at some game store or something like that, and then you'd see like everybody would have to wait. Oh hey, it's a Clone Wars preview on Cartoon Network. It's only there for 10 seconds. Don't blink, and then it's over. And then okay, everybody can go back to doing what they were doing. But you're right. It was so tight. If only General Grievous stayed as cool as he was.
I know. It makes me so. That's my biggest gripe with the Clone Wars is that they turned General Grievous, this awesome character, into a coward that just runs around the galaxy hiding from everyone. Like,
There was, like,
so much potential.
Some terrifying episode where they were trying to. There was like a fake assassination attempt on Palpatine, and it was Grievous that was hunting him down, and like you just saw one by one the Jedi that were protecting him like get slain by him, and it was freaky, man. That episode's like ingrained in my neurons because it just terrified me of Grievous.
Oh yeah,
right, and then all of a sudden, oh, he's just this weird bumbling fool.
Kenobi.
Oh, okay,
just because
all
Dave
right.
Filoni doesn't like General Grievous.
So
But we got
interesting.
Hello
So
There out of it. So
that episode you're talking about, Hammer, was actually the Siege of Coruscant. So that's actually the prelude to Revenge of the Sith. So that's totally. That's basically
Interesting.
when he takes over. Not takes over. That's when they do the Confederacy invasion, and he goes down and kidnaps them. And yeah, it's super interesting. But I think
Nice.
like for me, the most terrifying part of Grievous is when he's on. I don't remember the planet, but I just know like when it's Kiade Mundi, Aayla Secura, and the 5 other Jedi, he just obliterates them, and the ARC troopers have to come bail them out.
Right, that was the episode I was thinking of, where he's coming in and he's just picking them off one by one, like just and this underlying like low tone of terror that sort of strings throughout the entire episode. And then you're right, the ARC troopers have to come in and save everybody. And there's like
No.
you could see the young Jedi, the terror in his eyes, as he gets cut down. Yeah, oh man, good.
You guys
Too
remember
good,
the
too
episode
good.
with like the jousting on like the motorcycle horses?
Yeah,
I
of
had a
course.
vague
That
memory
was a
of that. It was
dirge.
just, yeah, that was iconic.
It was such an interesting like it's just like it made no sense because like jousting in Star Wars with bikes. Okay, sweet, let's do it. I'm here for it. It's just like everyone dies anyways. So
True.
I think Sage, you probably know more about like because there's just the Star Wars videos out there. I believe there was a rumor a few years ago, not a rumor, but there was like a discussion of someone asked someone at Lucas if both Star Wars were canon, and they said yes because the 2003 Clone Wars is what actually happened and actually shows the devastation of the war and how many hundreds of thousands of clones and droids truly died. But then the Clone Wars we see on Disney Plus now, that's the propaganda version, just because the way it opens up with wars broken out, blah, 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 blah. Our hero Jedi are here. Because it's presenting the Jedi is
The
heroes
keeper of
always,
peace,
right?
and
Like,
blah blah blah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's interesting.
I really like that.
oh yeah, I read this like 2-3 years ago, and I'm like, oh, that's a really cool perspective of, yeah, it makes sense for both of them to be canon because
Mhm.
2003 Clone Wars really shows the devastation and how truly horrible war is because there's the one episode with Mace Windu with the ground stomping machine. I don't know what it's called, but I believe they're on Dantooine, and it's just like
Dantooine.
obliterating clones right, left, and center. Like thousands are killed in single strikes, and Mace Windu is just karate chopping guys to bits. I'm like, this is insane. This is just insane to watch. When you really look at the perspective of just like the total loss, it's like, that's crazy. And then like even like the Siege of Coruscant, when we see Say Tin do the he jumps with all the clones out of space to take over a CIS ship, and it's like hundreds of like clone troopers are getting just wiped away with cannons. You're like, man, that sucks, but damn, that's cool. So
Some Gary's Mod just ragdolls flying around.
yeah, they're just like going everywhere, and it's just like it shows it, like that's why I think the 2003 will always stick with me because it's just like I watch it, I'm like, man, this is just mind numbing. It's just so cool. So
I mean, when Samurai Jack meets Star Wars, what else could happen but
What else
something
could happen?
incredible?
yeah, absolutely. And it's yeah, like it might be actually jumping to current Clone Wars. May 4th, we are getting the Bad Batch. Personally, I'm super excited because
Same here.
I feel this generation of Star Wars fans has been robbed of the experience of the Republic Commando games, and I feel this is paying tribute in a sense with the Bad Batch to the Commandos, even though they're not truly Commandos. They're Clone Force 99, haha. But it's oh God, I love Republic Commando, one of my favorite games growing up. But it's
So
it's really, really cool that we're getting this entire season dedicated to just clones. So have you guys checked out the trailer? What are your thoughts?
I saw the trailer. This is gonna be Hammer gets flogged time though because
okay, 1 second.
because
Uh-oh.
so my love and adoration for Star Wars exists in the episodes 1 through 6, and then that 2003 show, and then I've seen like the first half of the Clone Wars, the new series, and I've seen one episode of The Mandalorian.
What?
I
know. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
For some reason, production disconnected Hammer. I don't know what happened.
we seem to have lost Hammer. I don't know. Are you still there, Hammer? Can you hear us? No.
Nothing's coming
sorry.
through. Nothing's coming
Oh
through.
my
Something
gosh.
happened.
But I did watch the trailer, and it looks like a lot of fun because one of my favorite points because that's like my two favorite film series, 1 through 3 and 4 through 6, is I want to know more about what happens in between. And the fact that this happens in between, much like Rogue One happens before 4, like that, and like the show Rebels, I haven't watched it yet, but that's the one I'm most interested in because the fact that it happens after the Republic falls. Like, what is this blank period? I want to know. Give me more.
Sage.
So I'm excited.
What do you feel
when I get to it?
I don't know how I can respond to this truth. I'm like,
I was gonna say, because you looked out of it, like you looked like you were deeply hurt, like someone just like stabbed
I was
you.
just stabbed in the heart by hammer, and I'm
twisted.
trying to. I just went through the 5 stages of grief in that one moment.
I was gonna say,
you got
like,
to accept it.
Your exact reaction to me looked like someone just told you that Fallen Order was just an okay Star Wars game. That's the face you had.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which it's not. It's an incredible. So if anyone just says,
I haven't got past the splash because the game won't launch on my PC.
no,
So
not listening.
I don't know why. It's I've tried to play it.
We'll do some tech support after stream. I'll gladly help you through this.
Exactly. You need to play that game. So good.
R1, are you watching any of the new stuff yourself?
So I'm similar, I guess you could say, to Hammer in this bit. In that I haven't seen it. I've had a lot of my buddies talk about the sort of the Bad Batch storyline and things like that. I haven't gotten into it. I haven't. I just haven't. I looked at it. I said, okay, I'll learn more about this when it's more relevant to me. I can't get hyped on it that quickly, right? Like, it is one of those things where I kind of do have to pace myself, if you will, right? Like, oh, I'm much more hyped about the Rogue Squadron movie that'll be coming out, and I'm like, okay, let's do that. Bad Batch, okay, I don't know anything about these guys. That should probably be a good, cool thing.
Plot twist are technically all the same dude.
At least I watched The Mandalorian, but still, I mean, I don't know. I don't know a ton. So fill me in. Let me know what am I missing here.
So to kind of get excited, what I'm most excited about is experience Order 66 for the 3rd time from a new perspective.
It just keeps on happening, man.
It just keeps I don't know. Maybe like I'm one of the weird kids. Remember when Order 66 happened? I kind of went like, huh. Probably had it coming. So Jedi weren't listening, kind of out of control.
That's true.
Yeah, right.
You know what? I'm gonna level with you. Okay. 100% agree with that. The Jedi in the prequel trilogy, they all suck. And they all deserve to die. The ones that were alive are the ones that are alive because, I mean, you see Obi-Wan. He's the one of the few people that actually had a head on his shoulders. In the case of Count Dooku, you can't really say that.
Oh, oh man. Whew.
That was
fair enough.
Incredible.
No, I mean,
Qui-Gon's half the man
point.
he used to be.
I think that, what is it? There's a I know I've seen it. There's definitely a meme out there, right, where Yoda is like imagining this world where they, the Jedi Council actively thought about things,
it's an
accepted Anakin as with a spot on the council and all these other types of things, and then he imagines himself in this weird meta dream, like waking up from it. And he's like, oh.
Depressed yogurt.
Depressed yoga. 2019.
So I guess as a side note, maybe it'll upset you guys even more. I have seen quite a bit of YouTube clips and Facebook video clips of the Rebels series and the Clone Wars series. I've seen tidbits in 30-second chunks.
I was like, I'm not going to watch it, but I'm going to watch all of the teasers that are everywhere except for the actual thing.
So I've seen that part of that episode. So like when Dooku's like not evil, he's like turns around, he's like, hello there. It's
hello there. You know what actually got me back into watching Clone Wars again? It was actually TikTok clips. So it was
I don't understand TikTok. No. I was a Vine guy, right? Like I know Vine. That was big when I was a teen, and
imagine Vine with more dancing and stutter music.
All right, we're jumping in. We have Imperial Navy Death Squadron versus Cavern Angels. So,
all right.
Which CA team?
I will ask for verification on that.
Yeah, because there's like gold.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a few. We're looking at red.
Oh, okay.
Which Pokemon game is this Cavern Angels team?
Ooh, best Gen 2, fight me, I die on this hill.
Ugh. Please, let's not talk about Pokemon right now. I'm a little slutty about
Oh man.
this. This is a
Captain
Star Wars
Quinch,
show,
I've
please.
been seeing a lot more
True.
Pokemon on your Twitter account.
Oh yeah. We can talk about Pokemon offline, please. Not in Star Wars time, because I won't stop
Okay.
talking about Pokemon.
What
Pokemon
question
Red,
that's going
live or
to tie
die.
this? I agree, R1. I agree. Which, so, Star Wars Pokemon
Yeah.
crossover. Which, okay, let's see. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Grievous. Which
All right.
types are each of these?
Well, Anakin's
Anakin's-
clearly fire.
Dark
Yes.
and fire.
I'd say Obi-Wan
Well, that's like
is
the
probably...
stage 2 evolution, though, right? Like
Oh.
you gotta hit him with the old Dark Gem in order to get him.
He's Dark
is that like
Fire
the-
type.
You gotta hit him with the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Is that like the yellow eyes fight on at the end of episode 3 is like his middle form?
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy. You guys are ridiculous.
man.
Grievous is definitely an electric type.
I'd say
Electric plant type.
Obi-Wan is
Okay.
ice steel because he's got cold nerves. He's gotta be strong. And,
Yeah.
but then
See, I-
because Anakin is dark fire type, he's definitely super effective against him when he meets him again in episode 4. So
Oh, true.
doing Pokemon types. Sassmaster Slim, we were talking about both Clone Wars actually. We're talking about the majesty of 2003 Clone Wars, but then also talking about how TikTok has got me back into rewatching the original Clone Wars because of the cool clips of Captain Fordo.
I think Grievous might have to be like electric fighting, if
Oh,
only
100%.
because he gets like
got, like, the
outwitted
Machamp
by
arms and stuff?
psychic attacks every single time. Like he's just that bumbling fool of a guy. Oh, I've fallen victim to somebody else's bigger plans again. Oh.
Oh no, man! I just so there's something about this right here. Just the way we're seeing TIE fighters get taken out by Floop Head. I just loved it. There's just something about that X-wing gun just going off. Great time. All right, what have we got going on these teams here? We got frigate still up. Yeah, those are good still going here. A lot of zooming, a lot of flying. That reminds me, what is your favorite Star Wars trilogy, guys? What, and if you could make one?
Oh.
So just to kind of preface,
Oh, if I can make one?
my favorite trilogy is Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, and A New Hope, because it's the complete story of Darth Vader, from him falling from the Jedi, him trying to get the plans back, him getting the plans back in Episode 4, but then quote unquote being defeated. It's such a really cool story, and you watch it in that angle. I think I've stumped you guys.
Wow, I mean, just mind blown. Like everybody, you've just utterly destroyed everybody in the room with you, Quench. Like just by that like analysis. Like, don't get me wrong, I've heard about watching, the movies in like different orders, different cuts,
Yeah, the butcher cut
machete
and
cut,
stuff.
etc.
Yeah.
Oh, right. All these different things. Never once has somebody asked me, "Hey, what's the best trilogy you could make out of that?" And I'm like, "Oh man." Oh boy, because that's, I mean, what you just laid out there, right? Where you just threw it down on the table. Boy, howdy. I don't know. I don't know if there's a really one better than that, because it really does. It captures the best. I mean, honestly, right? The best moments of the prequels.
Yep.
The probably the best moments out of any of the modern movies, and then also the original thrill of A New Hope.
Yeah, it's. It hits
I don't know if
everything,
it gets any better than that. Yeah.
B-wing bombs incoming.
Oh, let's
B-wing
see.
bombs incoming. Bada bing, bada boom. 10-0. Is he gonna get
Just
respawn?
gotta-
Wait on
the
Did he
big
get
question.
resupplied on that?
Well, no, he might be. He might do the 20 bombs. It all depends. Yeah, he got resupplied.
Oh, there we go.
The bombs.
it's
so much damage.
funny. It's just like
All right.
I love how hyped the community gets, and we get when we see a B-wing just dropping those bombs. It's like,
It's so rare.
Oh, and that's over. Oh well. It was. We applaud you for your efforts. It was good while it lasted.
yeah, it was
Oh man.
one of my favorite things. 100%. Nothing beats a B-wing bombing. I mean, certain things do, but like,
It's like rooting for the underdog, right? Because the B-wing has its issues right now with survivability. It's a one-way train station, and like being able to see it, like get in there and do it. You're like, oh, you go get him, champ. Every time.
Come on, sport, you got this.
Come on,
It's
you
like
got
the-
it.
It's the "Are you winning, son?" meme, but going
Right,
Father,
absolutely,
I'm a
right.
B-wing."
Father, I'm a B-wing.
I always think of like the "Why can't you be normal" image, and it's just like they got
Yeah,
B-wings
it's
like
the
gyro spinning. Like
The B-wing's such an interesting ship, and how it was just even made in Star Wars lore. It was just made out of spite by angry Mon Calamarians. Like,
really?
well, that's not the exact wording, but more or less.
But still, yeah.
But in
That's the
short,
canon.
they're like, hey, we can't make our own ships. Okay, we make this literal death machine because we wanna. So.
The
I
blade
don't know. They were
wing?
always neat in some of like the other, I guess you could say the previous iterations of the of all the Star Wars games, right? So when we saw it in X-wing, when we saw it in TIE Fighter, when we saw it in X-wing versus TIE Fighter, right? They were always neat ships to fly.
Yeah.
And always had their odd sort of bit of roll in it. They had their that max DPS roll that if you flew it around or flew it well, hey, you could do something with it. It was always seen as an improvement over the Y-wing, and maybe not so much in Squadrons, but also it's hard to find that fit, right? It's how do you get that B-wing to fit perfectly in there?
I mean, a B-wing doesn't really fit anywhere, to be honest. It's just
Right.
fit
It
in
just
somewhere.
rotates, Yeah.
Bumps into
It's a
stuff.
spinning death
It's-
machine, to be
So-
honest.
It's the
B-wing
reverse
is like
L
this.
of the
If
Squadrons
you
Tetris.
fly it in like this right here, then it starts to fit everywhere. Just flying it the wrong way.
Isn't there
That's
some
not-
like ship in the Star Wars lore that's like a TIE interceptor and like an X-wing mashed together? I mean, you guys know Star Wars way better than
Are you
me.
talking about the TIE Avenger?
No, it's like some
or-
rogue mercenaries like taped together a bunch of random ships.
That sounds
very,
about
like,
right
it's a very
for Star
deep
Wars,
cut.
to be honest.
It's TIE Uglies. I think that might be what it is.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You go
Yeah,
far
those
enough
things are
down that
hideous.
rabbit hole, you'll find anything, especially with TIE fighters, right? Like, boy howdy.
I
there's
linked the
like,
TIE Ugly that you guys can see. Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of abominations. There definitely are some very interesting ships in the Star Wars universe. Like, where do we start? There's even some organic
Oh, are you
ships.
talking about the Y tie with the whatever you want to call it, the solar panels bolted to the side of the Y-wing?
Oof.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about there. That's probably
Oh
a deeper
man,
cut.
oh man, that's no. When it's interesting when I look up TIE Ugly, the first hit on Wikipedia is the Y tie was an ugly starfighter. Blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe this is what he's talking about. But no, it's hey, pirates be pirates. They're gonna throw together whatever they can in order to make it fly.
True.
I imagine the pirates are like, all right, guys, hear me out. What if we did this? And they're like, might work.
Hey,
Might work.
can we seal the cockpit?
Let's
most
do
of the time.
It's like Star Wars universe equivalent of like grabbing the Dremel and be like, okay, we're gonna make this work.
Man, this pursuit happening right now on this poor TIE Reaper right now, but they got away either way.
Oh,
but it's just like the horror, technically, the horror
Oh,
being chased. So.
I'm solo queued against him. He's terrifying.
Oh, and this B-wing coming back and getting the kill on that friggin'.
Beautiful
Oh man.
damage bringer.
And there's
there we go.
those chicken nuggets picking them up.
There's the resupply
Bombing
getting
them
up
down.
10 more bombs.
Is that
like,
what we
oh.
call those drops? Chicky nuggies?
I mean, that's what I'm calling them. That's,
All
I
right.
mean, hey, listen, you just gotta pick up your old chicken nuggets. And it's different than the tendies that you'll find on Galatan.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are the the
Oh,
big
look at
old
that beat.
chicken
Oh.
nugget action. Oh
the
man.
camera,
And he went down with the bombing run.
going straight for my heart there. Oh my goodness.
Do you need medical assistance?
Man, it's funny because those were all in that cinematic shot there. That was all. It was everything the B-wing is known for: making the bombing run and then immediately getting shot out of the sky.
You're like, well, yeah, there we go. Our lovely rotary cannon by.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Oh, we're going X-wing hunting. Here we go. Oh, there
Man,
goes.
I was so sad when that initial rotary cannon nerf hit. 'Cause that was my primary, and that was
It
that
hurt,
was the
man.
equalizer versus the A-wing. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't so great, and I'm like, oh well, I can't shoot down A-wings anymore. How do we shoot them down at all? Oh no! And yeah, no, then we all die. But
Generally,
that's okay.
Yeah.
right?
like most games,
A few
you just
shield
click
nerfs
the head.
later.
So.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
roots.
Then
Click
they
on their
eventually
head.
nerfed the A-wing too. But hey,
Always go banana.
So we've seen some very interesting nerfs and in the game so far, like which have been the ones that have surprised you the most, or maybe ones that you've been like, huh, interesting. Did we really need that?
I think that every time the B-wing gets a change, I have to say it's like it's in the right direction, but it's
Not far
like
enough.
it's just not far enough. I mean, again, I don't want to talk bad about the developers of the team. They're doing everything they can, and they've made a statement that they're doing
Guys,
iterative
developers,
changes.
if you hate the B-wing, just say you hate the B-wing. Quit making us beg for it.
So and it's these slow changes, but it's like every time I'm like, I just wish there was just something more, just to make the ship like work a little bit better to the way that people now.
So
are
you
playing.
say it's a lowercase b, not a capital B right now? Is what it is?
Yeah, not the strong B.
Not the strong B.
The other thing I guess too is like, I do like the defender nerfs that have come down, but and the inverse, I still think that's not enough. I'm one of those people that's in the camp of the defender shields probably need a nerf. But again, I can understand the devs' approach of doing things iteratively. They still have, I think, a few more balances they want to do to the game. So we'll see what happens. Knock on wood.
Yeah, honestly, I really appreciate the approach. Coming from the, if I want to call it the miniature gaming world, where nerfs or balances are usually like once a year, or maybe there's a new addition to the game or whatever it is, and then everything's just wild for a whole month and nobody knows what's going on. Everything that was broken before isn't broken now. You've got to throw away half the army you used to have because it's now trash compared to all the new models that have come out or the new changes that are there, etc. This is I really appreciate the iterative approach. So I think the Y-wing changes that have come out have really sort of stepped it into maybe that, I don't want to say perfect spot, but in a really, really nice spot now. B-wing, maybe not quite there, but that's okay. Hey, little bit at a time. We know they're headed in the right direction. I do agree. Is it everything I'd ever wanted in the B-wing? I don't know. As an A-wing pilot, I just wish they'd make the A-wing just a little bit better these days instead of us all running around in X-wing interceptor builds these days. But that's okay.
It's funny that you bring up tabletop nerfs and balances. Is when X-wing was around, that when I played tabletop X-wing, I loved the TIE Defender. I thought it was a really cool ship, but I rarely played it. I didn't start playing it until they introduced Imperial Aces, because they added like a bunch of Imperial Guard players, new cards and stuff. I'm like, I can do all these new abilities. And I can tell you the first tournament I went to, I just like, I wouldn't say dominate, but yeah, I people I used to lose against, I was like wiping them out. They're like, this makes no sense. How are you winning? I'm like, I don't know, it's time to figure out a buff, dude. Like, it's not my fault.
We don't know. We weren't able to play any of the games before we got to this very point, and now it's good again. And there it is. No. On the X-wing Legions, or excuse me, on the Star Wars Legion space that I play in, it's very much the same thing. Sometimes you'll have new abilities or new cards that come out that's now enhance previous units or things like that, or you might have a new synergy that is now capable there, or they're possible that wasn't possible before. It's a little bit different in the Squadrons universe. It's I mean, given the developers' approach to the game and all the, I don't want to say the limited number of ships we've got, but the set ships that we've got in the game, I think it's the right way to do things. I do wonder if we're going to Squadrons 2, who knows, right? What that even looks like, right? Is that going to be more of a true mobile form where it's, you've got maybe it's still Rebels versus Imps, but now you've got
same
I don't
faction
know. If you
versus each other, please.
I don't know.
I would love to see that. That'd be so cool to see Imperials against Imperials for like Civil War like stuff. Oh boy, howdy!
Ooh,
and
know
like
what?
you
It's
just
fair.
Mercs grabbing random ships they can. You can justify it anyway.
You know what? It's interesting you say that, because the diehard in me says, "Oh my God, why would I ever want that?" But also, the best missions in the original TIE Fighter were when you were fighting who is it, Admiral Zahn, out in the outer reaches under the employ of Admiral Thrawn, fighting Imperial on Imperial. Those were like clutch fights okay, I'm not here to fight rebels, whatever, they're trash anyway. But these
True.
usurpers in the Imperial Navy, if these jerks don't get put back in their place, we're going to have a whole mess of trouble here.
Yep. That's exactly what I was getting. It's like, hey, maybe a throwback to something like that would be so cool. Just because I think we kind of saw that a bit in the story right now in the single player story. We saw a lot of Imperials are like, nope, I'm doing this. And you're like, that's not what we want. So
that's not cash money. I don't know what you guys are doing.
That's not released in our fleet systems of you dog. So some of the things I like is so let's talk about the potential of Squadrons 2 lining up with the release of the X-Wing movie. Like, we're going to be seeing Rogue Squadron film. Now, that really, to me, it makes sense as a overall just deploy.
My brain is still melting. Hang on. You keep going. I'm just digesting how awesome that would be.
It makes sense to line a Rogue Squadron movie up with a game release focused on
also
the
dev
movie.
time.
So,
it's 2 years away. That's standard dev
that
time
makes
for a
sense.
game.
That does line up. So, to me, that makes sense for me. I would love to see us get more surface to air fights. So have the ability to fight in low atmosphere. That was one of my favorite things in the Battlefront games. But then one of the other things I'd love to see is maybe, I know I'm part of the weird generation. I was a 90s baby, born 1990. So I'm in between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. I love both equally, but I'm leaning a little more towards prequel just because of some of my favorite moments in there. I would love to see it. I know that's probably not on the roadmap, but I would love to see a Clone Wars era Squadrons-like game. I don't think there'd be anything more satisfying.
100% agreed.
Because it's just something
like
about those arc ships. I love those aerial recon
there's
ships.
Such
so
a wealth of ship types that are in the prequel era. Like,
the
there's
ugly
so much you could
Y-wings
bring
from
into
the Clone Wars.
The OG Y-Wings, we got the Z95 Headhunters, we have
T95s.
Our Vulture droids, we have our fun little spinny dudes. I don't know what their actual names are, but little
spinny dudes. I love it.
We got the spinny dudes. They do the thing, bada bing, bada boom. So
I do think they could. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to take a direction on it, right? Like, they definitely could do more of a Dota approach to it, right? If you want to call it that, where it's just all hero ships, it's all very unique stuff, and then you don't have to worry about faction v faction balance, right? It's all just, hey, I'm gonna take an Naboo starfighter with, oh man, I'm blanking on a name of a guy that actually would be a good starfighter pilot from that era, right? And I don't want to say Anakin, because I mean that's just, hey, who wants to be that guy, right? Spinning is a good trick. Great. Yeah, that's your special ability. That's what you do. But really cool. Like those types of, if you want to take it that hero approach, you can fly whatever you want. It's interesting because I do wonder where their target audience is, right? So in this particular game, they made a very conscious choice to stick with a very canon approach to Star Wars. Maybe they
wanted to make a new version of the 90s games, really. Right.
And they were able to do that in the single player, and now this sort of fleet assault, right, this fleet battles mode that we've got is now a way that we can sort of, play this continuous game over and over and over again to develop it into an esports. Hey, right. How do you take it from where we are now to where we want to go in the future? Is that canon piece now off the table? If we say, well, hey, listen, it was a cool VR experience. Some people did go all in for it, but also the majority of our players, especially that play competitively, they don't play in VR. They play, regular mouse and keyboard or hands-on keyboard and stick or whatever it is. And that's the mode we really want to focus on. I don't know.
Well, the nice
honestly,
thing is,
I don't think you could go wrong. That's the best part.
The nice thing is that playing in VR, there are still some top players that do play in VR, so it's still also viable and the high tier too. And luckily, they've built out the UX, right, the user experience for like a system that can work in both flat and VR. I'm excited for it, right, because of the Squadrons too. This is a viable VR esport. We don't have many of those yet, right?
True.
Yeah,
if we get a SaaS, software as a service version of Squadrons that is a viable VR esport, that's groundbreaking. Oh my! I'm super excited for that, just as a VR enthusiast.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
we see
that gives me like a really cool idea that I'd love to see, and I doubt it's on the roadmap. But Ian, if you're watching, please, I think it'd be really cool to have a 6th team member. Now, hear me out. The 6th team member is on the bridge of your cruiser, and they are commanding the AI where to attack.
Oh, and commanding where the
I love
AI
this.
to
So you
attack.
actually have a fleet
That
commander.
adds a whole other layer
I know.
of more like a
I'm
Dota
sorry.
style.
But like, think about it. You have an overall fleet commander that is telling you, like, giving you pings, but like more or less calling like wards in the jungle in a mode of like, hey, over here.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
someone's over here going bing bing bing. Go to over here. I just think to me it'd be really cool to have that as a VR experience. Someone actually
Be
on the
Admiral
deck.
Thrawn.
Be Admiral Thrawn.
Be blue, badu bida booba.
God. We are jumping into game 2 here. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting. There's some good sort of elements in the chat there, right? A lot of different games have tried that commander system with relatively, I think, mixed results, right?
Yeah.
Some folks that, especially when you're, if you think about the non-esports version of it, right, where you're just sort of climbing into a random battle with a bunch of other folks, sometimes there's a fight for that commander spot. Sometimes it's nobody's the commander, and then you're just sort of like, well, what do we do? I don't know. And it does make me wonder, especially when you get to that non-esports element, that randos, hey, I'm just teaming up with. What does that even look like? Like who jockeys for that commander spot? It's interesting, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a problem to be solved, maybe it's not.
That's why you come in with a team of lads. You guys all choose like your position, this, you're that. Because maybe it's a person that's not as good as flying. They're the one that commands the ship. So, and it lets everyone have a chance.
I would love that. I would love that position because I suck at flying.
I know we'd be fighting for who gets to do that.
I'm the worst starfighter. Whoa, I am too. Crap.
Oh no.
Oh no! Only one of us will be the commander spot. The other one will suck on the field. Let's see who wins.
There can only be one.
There could
only be one.
Highlander this stuff.
To bring it back, I would love, and I am a. There's the term in the industry called the whale, right? The person that goes and buys all the cosmetics for a game. Well, true. I'm a hammer. I'm also a whale.
The hammer whale.
I'm saying
I like
now.
it. I like
if Squadrons had a SaaS model that had like dumb cosmetics, and if it's canon breaking, I don't care.
Man.
I would
It's
buy
set
them.
up perfectly for it. I've said this many times on the podcast. Is they really shot themselves in the foot with the steadfast choice not to have any in-game purchases.
Do you think that was like we don't want to have backlash though from the loot boxes?
100%. It makes sense as a business because they had the backlash with Battlefront 2015, Battlefront 2 as the whole loot box controversy. That they are still the poster child. Anytime you see anything regarding loot boxes or anything like that, they use the image of Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And even though like something like Overwatch has such a stronger use case for those.
So much money getting that Mercy Witch skin back in the day.
Exactly.
Oh.
But so it makes sense on that point. There's also been some rumors that they had plans for a broader game. And then they're like, you know what, in the time frame that we want, because EA has this thing where they want a game to release it in a certain year, and then they focus on that year. So if there's a game that's not performing and it's not going to hit that time point, they say, okay, we're going to take resources from there, we're going to put it over here, and that game is going to be coming out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found it very fascinating that is the way that EA does it. They want to hit certain games at certain time frames. So it makes sense, but Battlefront was the same way. Battlefront was the same way. Once they had the controversy, they took out any way for them to give money and keep that game as a service. And then Squadrons was like, hey, we don't want any of those controversies.
Let's make
even
a good
though
game.
Like how much would you spend to have a Baby Yoda skin on your TIE fighter?
Me personally?
Exactly.
$10.
$10 times that by how many players in the community? Let's say 10% of the 3 million people.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Right.
That's pretty dang good.
See, so tinfoil hat time. I still what I think about Squadrons is I think that EA probably sat in the boardroom and said,
we screwed up with Battlefront 2. People now, associate us with the negatives of loot boxes. Let's give them an apology game, but let's also test the waters with playing around with a dogfighting esport, right? And let's build the systems and see if players latch onto it, if a scene develops, if anything develops, and then it'll give us a good springboard on developing a sequel of sorts. Maybe I'm wrong. That's the vibe I get with this game, right? Because like you said, things are built into this game that feel sassy, right? Sass is in software as a service, also just sassy. Like the cosmetics, the ships, the game mode, right? So it feels very blind piloty to me, but I could be wrong. This is the hammer tinfoil hat theory that I've shared many times. With people.
I like the idea. Talking with a friend of mine who's actually worked with EA in the esports scene, and he was telling me that historically, again, these can change at any moment. Historically, though, EA, unless it's a esport around one of their sports titles, they don't really support esports as a scene. So it's any of the support that we've had with Squadrons has been developer side. As you can see, the developers are super passionate around the game. They spent tons of time, and you can tell the passion that they put in the game, because everything in it is so robust and so thoughtful for the community. Embracing esports was all development side of things. I would, from the perspective, some of the things I've heard, they didn't intend on it to be this thing, but it's set up perfectly to be esports. So it's kind of like something that they didn't really think about until afterwards, and the community was like, hey, you know what this would be great for?
Esports.
Esports, yeah.
It's a happy accident then.
I mean, you could definitely see that folks, like, I mean, they didn't just build fleet battles for nothing, right? Like, this is clearly the core game mode, right? And yeah, maybe they did want to have that single player experience, because you're right, it's an experience you can't get anywhere else, and it's probably I don't even have to say probably. It's the main driver for selling the 1 million+ copies that Squadrons has sold, right? But you're right, the opportunity that now sort of presents itself, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's all developer driven, and from that point of time, or I guess you could say from that perspective, it's brilliant, right? You can see how well they said, hey, well, also, what if we just sort of did this free little module in Battlefront where you could fly around in VR as a spaceship, right? Like, using all the same controls, or most of the same controls, but also like, hey, what if you could do this? And everybody lost their goddamn minds. And then they say, well, hey, like, what if we just made a game, that was exactly like this? And now they've done that and exceeded expectations from a business standpoint in pretty much every way you possibly can. Well, now they've got freedom to operate, and now they can do all the things they want to do. I mean, they've got the proof has been in the pudding, not once but twice.
Yeah.
That they're like, okay, well, okay, fine, guys, you can do whatever you want. You guys need a bunch of money for development. Okay, go for it.
That's the hope, right?
No problem.
The hope is that like a CRO of EA is like watching and going, well, we took a risk and it worked. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Hey.
I really think Squadrons was a love letter to the community, to be honest. Just the way it's been
100%.
done, and just like, to me, I just love this game. Like, watching, it's like we're watching this poor X-Wing Shrugmaster get hunted down by Painless. And like, just the cinematic part of this, and just like the storytelling, like the rivalries we've had with Cal Cup and other events like SCL, Operation Ace, and even like the Creator Clash. It's just like, there's so many cool moments in this, and it's movie worthy a lot of the time. Like, boom, there you go, Poe Dameron right there,
right?
Wedge
You're
Antilles.
building your own stories in the universe.
Exactly, and there's I mean, you can experience like some of those things in a Battlefront title, right? But it's just not quite the same. You don't get the same cinematography you can in a Squadrons game. Like, there are some, I don't know, the elements I've seen, if I want to say posted on the internet from Battlefront, are not, oh, hey, look at this. This was awesome to watch. This was, hey, look at this crazy Boba Fett doing these insane things, or whatever it might be, right? Like somebody doing crazy things that are more meme-worthy than, holy smokes, that was really awesome to see.
So
Please,
Whereas
Dennis
it's the
Roberts.
opposite side of things.
I've heard a
from
take about
Squadrons.
this, and I agree with it. It wasn't my take. I don't want to steal it. But the thing is, like, when you watch like Battlefront or like maybe even Rogue Squadron, and the plays aren't as exciting because the game doesn't have that like a fidelity level on the controls to where you have to
do
work
so
hard.
many things.
So like you are like those games you feel powerful because the ships kind of somewhat control themselves. They're easier to fly, they're easier to do high damage in, and your eyes kind of become jaded, right? But like with Squadrons, you have to fly. You have to be good to be able to get some of this stuff off, and like you can feel the tension of the players and like the level of execution, and it adds to the moment.
Yeah.
At least that's how I perceive it.
It's definitely a reason why I definitely prefer Squadrons right now over like I love playing Battlefront 2. It's just a fun game I vibe with, and it's a meme game, and it's just fun to unwind with. I don't take it too seriously. The game doesn't take itself too seriously. But when you jump into Squadrons, it's a completely different experience, like you said, because I think the big thing here is there's no hero ships. You're the hero ship. It's all skill based.
And the caliber of the controls are just so much higher fidelity than something like Battlefront could even attempt to do.
Because there's nothing more that, like, nothing tilts me more when I'm playing Battlefront 2 and we're doing, like, Galactic Supremacy, and then out of nowhere, Darth Vader comes and just wipes us out. I'm like, that wasn't fun. I mean, it's fun for the Vader, absolutely, but it's just like, man, I wish there was game modes without the heroes, because, like, I just feel like you're not experiencing the war part of Star Wars, you're experiencing the whole Star Wars part of it. So.
I would love to see, and I hope that Squadrons was a test and a successful test at that. What I would love to see, EA and all of the other development companies out there that are now that it's been opened up, I would love to see more smaller scale dedicated experiences to specific audiences. Something like you could play Starfighter Assault in Battlefront 2, but if that is your main thing, one, it didn't get support in the game. It was solid, it didn't need a whole lot of support, but if you wanted it to be vibrant, you have to give it support to facilitate that. If you only play heroes versus villains, a lot of the rest of the game may not make sense. And if you only want to play heroes versus villains, the balancing changes that they had to make for the troopers is going to limit the type of game that you're going to have with heroes versus villains. So I would love to see a Battlefront game where it's large-scale battles, but it focuses on the troopers, it focuses on those experiences, and it really nails down the experience there. And then we have Squadrons to supplement the Starfighter combat. Then we have a heroes versus villains game, because that's like literally my brother's one of these players, but people play Battlefront for the heroes only. Like, they don't touch anything else.
And I'm not knocking those people at all. That's why I'm like, hey, some people just love that experience. They love jumping out as Darth Maul, doing spins and kickflips and ruining my day. And that's okay. But it's definitely not why I just play down line now, because I used to be like, I used to get so heated and tilted. I'm like, who's this Darth Maul? This is ridiculous. But now I'm like, you know what? They're just here for a good time. Let's have a good time too. So.
As a little
Gotta
kid,
be a good time.
playing Battlefront 2, the old one, all I would do was, and I mentioned you guys before, but I had the PSP version, which is different than any other version that anybody else has played. You could only play the Hero Conquest on Tatooine, but that's the only game mode I played. I would play as Mace Windu. I would jump, do the ground smash, just simple time, mind turned off, smile on, and yeah, like I was that sort of person, so understandable.
I was going to say, funny, for whatever reason, it reminded me of the original Clone Wars game. They came out, I believe, in 2002 for Xbox and PS2. I don't know, did you guys ever dive into that?
No.
Wow. It's such a cool experience, because it bridges the gap between Episode 2 and 3 a bit. A little more. And it kind of gets a little more into like what Anakin went through in some trials with some like Dark Lords of the Sith.
I did play that.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
That was rocking.
It was a very interesting.
Did you guys ever see the concept stories for Battlefront 4? There's a video on it recently that somebody made. I wish I could credit the person. I have no idea who it was.
I think Bombastic did a series on it too.
Like just the insane scenarios that they were thinking of.
I need a little
and you
more
have to leak
what? What kind of insane
so they had
scenarios?
plans for they had one for Battlefront 3, and we've seen leaks of gameplay and cutscenes from that. So it's pretty well documented. But they were also working on a Battlefront 4, and there was a lot of things played around with in terms of the level of scope of that game. They wanted to take it to the next level, and just the different experiences that they wanted were crazy.
Like, you get on a ship, go to a planet, like raid a ISD, get off the ISD, like
That's insane.
multi-stage. Yeah.
That's actually so crazy. Like, hey, we're gonna go with a squad, putting together a team. I'm in. Let's do it.
You know, it's
that's
interesting.
putting together a
It's
team.
interesting even just to see how some of those ideas like leaked into like some of the different scenarios in like for instance, like Battlefront 2, where you're in the whatever it is, the CR-90 that crashes into the ISD, and then you're fighting on the ISD, which is just a wild scenario in itself, right? But it provides sort of just another element to gameplay. Hey, here's another way we could sort of get all these characters together and have them duke it out.
I love it. I just love it.
Reminds me of the Force Unleashed had those like alternative modes too, right? It was like, what if Luke died in like Hoth?
Yes.
That was such a cool perspective as well. Like, just the Star Killer going through Star Killer mode, and just like Chewbacca gets yeeted, Han gets chopped. It was wild.
They're real to me. That's the one quote I always think of.
There's been a lot of interesting Star Wars games over the years, especially, Star Wars Connect.
Dude, dancing like Han Solo, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah!
Han Solo. Han
I had to
Solo.
bring that up just for the sake of bringing that classic Star Wars
I
memory
had
up.
a Connect. I played one game with it, realized that it was all marketing, and then I didn't touch it, and I sold it.
Oh no, that was such a
Little
cool
kid
Xbox,
me was
though.
devastated because they had like the shows that like, oh, you can like play instruments and stuff. Remember like the E3 and stuff, and then I got it and like it barely worked.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, sad.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It was very much the same feeling on the old the PlayStation VR setup that I've got on my end. That until Squadrons came around, there was like, okay, well, these are some fun, cool little things you can do. Oh, and then there's also Squadrons. Oh, okay, well, I'll just play that then. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
This is
Remember
now
previously,
worth all of the
Yeah.
heartache over this.
The VR games were just experiences that you like. We have a PSVR as well,
Mhm.
and like you bring your friends over, you put them in there, and you watch their reaction.
Play Beat
There
Saber.
aren't many games where you're just gonna sit there and play in the game
Yeah,
until
yeah.
Squadrons comes out.
Until Squadrons comes out, right? I mean, you could defuse bombs, you could beat sabers, you could do all those different things, and then there's Squadrons, which is an actual real life game. Good times.
So I actually have a fun curveball question that's kind of completely off rail this entire discussion, just because I really want to just talk about some of things that we usually don't really get into. And it's like, what has been one of your favorite oddball Star Wars merchandising things that you've ever experienced or found?
Oh, I have many.
I
I don't have them here. I have the Star Wars Holiday album.
What?
That's where
So,
that's where
on
Bon Jovi
vinyl.
did his first thing, right?
So I have the album on vinyl, and it's got C-3PO, and they're all singing Life Day songs, and they have a story that goes through. I also have
Incredible.
the Star Wars story on 8-track.
I love that.
Yes.
So, Uplink, do you know the story of that album and Bon Jovi?
I don't.
So that album. So
Enlighten us.
Bon Jovi was like he was like a kid. He was working as like I'm gonna butcher this. Somebody will Google for me later. But like he was working in the studio like cleaning, like the floors or something. And they were recording that album, and they like asked if he could come sing on it. That was Bon Jovi's first ever recorded debut as a kid on the Star Wars Holiday album.
Can you
I don't know
imagine?
if
It's like,
I don't know
what?
if Google's listening to me or not, but the very first thing, like I start to type in Bon Jovi, and the very first thing that comes up is Bon Jovi Star Wars Christmas album. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
That's incredible. Like, see, mine was lame. My favorite thing was the Phantom Menace Pepsi cans collection, if you guys remember that. I think Cameron might have been way too young for that, but R1 maybe.
Too much of a baby.
They released special edition Pepsi cans, and so I'm like an obscure collector, like I said. Like I went and bought the Taco Bell staff shirt because I thought it was funny to have, and one of the other things I've been eyeing lately is this guy keeps putting this set back on eBay, but it's the entire can collection, and he keeps the selling point is they're on, like, the cans are full, like he's not drinking them, like they're just full cans. I'm like, do I want to go for the forbidden syrup? Do I want these cans that bad?
Do it.
So I've been sitting on this for months, and I've shot a message here and there, like, so how are those cans doing? And I'm just like, I guess my big concern is like aluminum cans in the mail. What if they get crushed? That collectible's just toast. So I've been very hesitant to actually act on it. I just think it'd be a really funny wall piece and a conversation starter of like, hey, do you want to see my R2D2
You need to get
cans?
those with the drink still in it, and then do a video of you drinking the limited edition Star Wars Pepsis.
No, sorry.
Does that stuff expire? I mean, it's just technically water and syrup. Oh, it probably does.
That would be perfect.
I mean, hey, listen, like somebody, like there's a dude that's got a YouTube channel that just eats old, like ancient Army MREs. I'm sure you could drink. I'm sure you could drink a 1980s Pepsi. I'm sure. Hey, you'll be fine.
Put it on TikTok.
Put it on TikTok. Get all those hot views, right?
Oh my boy, howdy! Like that is one of the most disturbing things I heard.
I see you thinking about it. Like I can see it.
Yeah, you just like, I'm like, wait, can I get away with this? Is this covered under Canadian health insurance?
Wait,
so
it'd be cool, but I can't do that. No, but it'd be cool.
I was gonna say my favorite is actually related to the other Star Wars miniature game I played, Star Wars Armada, where the exceptionally awful 1980s Star Wars droids, The Adventures of R2 and C-3PO. They pulled an Imperial general from that show and a ship called the Devastator, which was this Gladiator Star Destroyer, this tiny little thing, and Admiral Screed. Oh man, I'm blowing it now. It's been a little while, and for no other reason, like, hey, we need another ship we can put into this game for the Imperial side of things. Oh yes, we'll pull it from this miserable cartoon like series. You could see it on YouTube. Good gravy, is it awful? But hey,
that's so random, and they're just like delicious. You know, it's just I say delicious because it's like Star Wars like stuff is just so random sometimes. And I think it's funny that like there's literally a Wikipedia page for every character. Like, oh, who's that guy in the bar scene? They're like, this guy's wanted on 24 Systems. He also owns a noodle shack.
Yeah, he's got like 15 books of content worth of backstory.
And he's like, he actually fought in the Clone Wars, and his dog drop kicked Chewbacca in the battle of this. You're like, wow.
Right. In Star Wars, everybody knows each other. It's like everybody's like third brother. Oh, hey, it's that guy. I also knew from that alliterated name.
So
it's this other dude's brother.
So this is why I like having you guys on here, and this is why I like the Squadrons community, because I feel the gatekeeping is really low. Because there's like that meme on Twitter the other day of like, oh, you like Star Wars? Then name these guys and all the bounty hunters. I'm like, what?
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
You like Squadrons? Like, name every drift.
Robot Dude, and that's Robert Fett, and that's Boss. But like, it's just like I remember growing up and people going like, "Oh, do you know who these spider droids are?" And I'm like, me being the nerd child that I was like, "Yeah, those are the Bomar mics that decided to take out their brains and put them in giant spider droids, and they just wanted to live and vibe in Jabba's palace." And they're like, "Why do you know that?" I'm like, "The fight against gatekeepers." So
it's really funny you mentioned that. It was growing up. We were not allowed to play the. Oh man, I don't know what era it was. It must have been some '90s era of Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. Because
yes,
it was just,
yes, we had that too.
We had it, and we played it like once, and we're like, well, Rehad just sort of won. Our one just sort of won, like in one go around. I guess we just can't play this anymore as a family. All right, fine. Like the music questions were always the hardest ones, and that was the only way they could stop it. Yeah, it was always John Williams, right.
My dad is a Star Wars collector of sorts, and we had that game, but we just could never play it because nobody knew the answers.
You get to see the Mandalorian. Oh. From chat, oh, you like Star Wars? Name every clone.
Right.
Speaking of, do you guys have a favorite clone trooper? Is there one that actually stood out from the Clone Wars era that made you go like, this is...
Captain Fordo.
Yeah, 2003 Clone Wars. That guy
He
is...
just bangs stuff up and an absolute monster.
Yeah, Detroit Slap City. That's where he's born. I mean, not Camino, but Slap City.
I like 99.
Very tragic story for 99.
I know. Yeah, I cried.
I know. It just makes you just like, it hurts. It's like a kick to the chest. You're like, oh, 99, I'm sorry.
Man, see, on my end, it's like, I don't know. I'm so old. Like the only like clone of any like back in my day, the only notable clone we had was the Santa Claus guy as a part of Return of the Jedi, right? Like the one dude, like they sort of said, oh yeah, this guy's probably a clone because he also shows up in these other like backstory things they've added in. Like that's the only guy that comes to mind right now. Like, oh yeah, that guy. Because everybody else, okay, sure, or Rex or Echo or things like that. Like there are some cool clones out there. But that I'm always reminded of the, oh yeah, let's tie this one random dude with a white beard that would happen to be in Return of the Jedi. He's probably just an older clone, and then build a backstory around him.
So it's funny. That's actually Captain Rex.
Oh yeah, that's actually. I mean, that's what they
Canon
built the
Rex.
backstory around.
The
That's Canon is Captain Rex.
Yeah. So the canon response is that's Captain Rex. But I just wanted to point out, like, that dogfight we just saw between Alaric was insane. Like that handling was mind blowing. I loved it. So, but I'm gonna say my favorite clone, and I'm glad someone agrees with me. It's Kix. The reason why I like Kix so much is because they were one of the first to alert about the mind control chip, but then also the big thing there that I really liked is just what happens in episode 7, 8, and 9 is basically what happens is Kix gets frozen in just Cairo, and they get launched into space. They're found by space pirates who we get introduced to it's the red captain dude from episode 7. But more or less he found him, and he's like, Kix wakes up, he's like, I need to alert the Republic, and he's like, lol, dude, that was like 50 years ago, so.
Way to wake up in time for that one. Way to hit the snooze.
Yeah, it was a very interesting, just tragic story, so.
Oh, rest in peace, boy. Oh, maybe not.
I don't know
Boy,
what's going
getting
on
out of there.
so.
Look at that. Oh, no.
Oh, well,
oh,
caster curse.
There it is.
Not really casters right now. We're just kind of vibing, but
That's right, hey.
caster curse.
Pseudo-casters. Yeah, it is interesting to see all a fracture with the old F in chat there. Interesting.
It's funny. I just noticed that now. That's incredible. That's so funny. Love it. Here we go. We're talking about like the cinematic shots that we saw earlier, and like just like this tunnel scene. Whenever you come out of it, it's just like, especially when you're falling. I love it. It's just so cool to watch.
Right. I mean, it is one of those games where you can't. Man, like there's so many just randomly iconic moments that like you can just say this is Star Wars, and not just like, oh hey, this is a meme of Star Wars I saw on Reddit somewhere. This is like actual freaking Star Wars. Like I want to live and breathe the stuff. Like that's what I'm getting every day out of Squadrons. It's good times. Good times.
Yeah, and it comes back down to like what we talked about a little bit earlier, just for anyone that's new to joining us, is like the thing that I really love about Star Wars here is like this is building the hero moments of our own lore, and just like actually like look at this like spins by reflex, like holy crap! Can you imagine just being some poor rebel pilot out in the universe? You just see that, you're like, I chose the wrong side. Hey, Imperial, you guys still recruiting? You guys need someone?
Some big rotary doing flips.
Yeah, like watch
Oh,
this,
Lord
just
have
like
mercy.
pew dropping those missiles. And it's like. Man, if I was Rebels right now, like, imagine just like, and you're like, oh no, I don't like this. This isn't good.
Right.
This
All
is a
those
bad day.
all those junior pilots flying around in those quote unquote AI fighters right now. They're like watching McClunky spin around, reflex, do barrel rolls around this MC-75.
Do a barrel roll.
I mean, hey, like maybe. Hey, listen, could I do one of those like, guys? Like, I mean, that seems.
First day on the job, can you imagine?
The job. Oh man.
I think one of my favorite parts here actually is when we actually start seeing damage to the capital ships and just seeing the parts just flying off it and the fires engaging. It's like, it makes you really wonder, like, what's going on inside the ship? Are they like, well, it's a good run.
Everything's just shaking.
Like, can you imagine just the Mon Calamari commander just like, tell my wife, I love her.
Dear Agatha, we fought the Imperials today in the Nadiran shipyards, and we fought valiantly.
There were no AI
only
ships.
3 of us.
One died on the approach. The other one just got lost. They're all flying
3
in
of
packs
our
of 2. I don't know
3
what's
of the
going on.
lifeboats that we launched were killed and downed by enemy fighters. I was the only one to survive.
Maestro definitely give us a spin for stream. I can tell you that. Look at these spins. Love it.
Bada bing, bada
man.
boom.
Try spinning. I heard that's a good trick.
It's classic.
There it is, though.
Yeah,
Wait, there you go.
So, I think one thing we'll see too, and I mean we're seeing it in this Reaper right now. Tomorrow is mix-ups of loadouts compared to the last Cal too, right? Like
Yeah.
Mask got a nerf to it, and the meta and the way people have played have adjusted to where we're seeing more resupplies. I mean we saw that earlier, right? So I don't know. We'll find out. I'm excited because the more Oxes are viable, right? The more variety we have, the more fun the games are to watch. At least for me.
I definitely agree
I
with
mean,
you.
I think we saw it on one of them earlier. I mean, we know that Scalpin is his interceptor is always running, the repair module. We saw it at a TIE fighter, if you want to say it, the bully bomber TIE fighter, also with the repair module on it. We see Kerensky here also, or Lyric, I guess you can't see his last name there, right? Also running with the repair module. It's a fair amount of flexibility, right? That survivability in field that you can't really get with anything else. Whoa, got that one hull F.
That
God.
was,
F's and chats.
oh, they got it off. Oh, they're still love it.
Ooh.
Or maybe not. No F's in chat. Survived.
No,
Remove those
look
Fs.
at that.
Yeah.
Remove those.
Delete those Fs.
Nice. You know what, right? Even
Look at
that
this.
brief
I'll-
moment that we had in that follow cam, right? Where he's barely holding on, everything's smoking, cockpit is filling with exhaust fumes, the one engine on the right side is on fire, right? Where else in a Star Wars game can you get that shit? Like, you just can't. It's just too good.
And we're still holding on with one health here. Like,
Right, it's still holding on, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
that's so cool. I love that.
So
that was
good.
like that's what
So
we're talking about.
very,
The
very
storytelling
good.
opportunities is like, I'd probably say like, that scene right there, just like the whole situation is like such a cool thing to talk about and just really go over. Like, loved it.
And I think that's maybe even where you were talking about that love letter to the community. Yes, they built a game that's enjoyable for a lot of different reasons, right? But also those tiny little elements, right? You're not gonna get it unless you've got some real fans of Star Wars as a whole putting the game together, and we could see it all on display here.
Ah, yes, McClunky was flying my favorite, my skin. I love the Imperial Guard skin on those TIE bombers. It's just like, it's beautiful. I love to see it. So
I like the
F
game
in
they're
chat for
running
French
there.
here.
All F, so you write F in chat for the victory.
Mm-hmm.
It's subversive. Very big brain. I have to type it too. There we go.
Some galaxy brain thought there. Yeah, hell yeah.
In the chat, boys.
So one of the things I brought up in
Follow.
pre-show that we actually didn't get to it, that we will now, since we have some time, is if you guys had a chance to go to Dex's Diner, what would you order and why?
Ooh. I'd sit up at the bar, be like, hey, Dex, old buddy, old pal. I haven't seen you since I was prospecting on Subterrell. And then I'd ask him to make me the chef special.
There you go. Good answer. I have no idea what they serve there, so
Exactly.
I'd probably just say
How about,
space spaghetti.
In
Space
post
spaghetti.
in post
Porg.
COVID, I haven't gone to a bar in so long. I'd just fumble and I'd be like, just something strong,
Just
please.
give me anything.
Yeah,
Pulled pork. I'll get a pulled pork sandwich, please.
Pulled porgs.
really strong flavor.
So-
Miscommunicating.
Yeah. So it's something, maybe, I don't know if I want to say I invented it, but it was something I discovered and bring with me to whenever I get a chance to play in a in-person miniature gaming event. So if I'm going to play Star Wars Legion, I'm going to bring with a thermos of what I deemed a white Rhodian, which is just as it sounds. It is a white Russian, but with peppermint flavored vodka. And for whatever reason, it hits in just the right way with that chocolat liquor, that good gravy. It goes down nice and smooth. So that would be my choice. I'd tell him to mix me up a white Rhodian.
So Han didn't shoot first. R1 did.
That's right.
That reminds me of my go-to drink whenever I go to a bar. I have trash taste. It's just get me. Like it's the college special. Get me like vodka and Coke, vodka and Diet Coke. Like nothing special. People get the actual cocktails. No, just
give
like
me
one
a PBR
and
and.
So
PBR
just ask
and a
for
Red Bull, call it a
Java. They're like, what? Just give me the Java juice. There you go.
I discovered a new drink, which was it's a jalapeno Moscow Mule.
Interesting.
So you muddle like pickled jalapenos, and just make a regular Moscow Mule. It's so good.
How do you make that Star Wars?
It's a great question how we do make that Star Wars, but absolutely I did spice my own tequila using just some fresh jalapeno, put it in the old Tupperware container, and then make a mule out of that. Good gravy. Is that solid? But you're right. What kind of spice? I mean, what is that? Is that a Kessel Run? I don't know.
That's like straight Star Wars.
They might already have a drink named a Kessel Run. I'm pretty sure they do. So we might have to. We might be infringing on somebody's copyright.
We need someone who has like the experience and the knowledge of gardening in the Star Wars universe. What is the spicy pepper of the Star Wars universe?
Star Wars spicy
As
pepper.
Everybody
Come on, Google.
proceeds to hit Google.
It's like,
come on, chat.
The
Bellison pepper.
So it looks like we are getting ready for our final match of the day, friends. Just so everyone in chat knows, today was more of a casual cast. It was meant to be more of a fireside chat, so you guys can get to know us. We learned a lot about our co-hosts today, R1H4 Hammer and Uplink. A lot of fun facts and a lot of random merchandise that I found we all have, which is really funny. Tomorrow will be the full cast. Opening us up tomorrow will be Hammer. No, wait, not Hammer. Uplink and R1 will be opening us up tomorrow, so you guys must be excited.
I mean, listen, I'm always excited to cast games with my buddy Uplink.
Oh yeah.
We'll bring it to you nice and smooth. Open that show up for you.
We're like the nice jazz of Star Wars Squadrons casting.
We don't want maybe we don't want to get into the official name for Star Wars Jazz on this particular show, but hey,
so it's the Cantina.
But hey, you're absolutely right. That good all squadrons considered flow. We'll bring it to you live here tomorrow.
I just see Hammer losing his mind. So.
Well, I mean, listen, not many folks are going to make an NPR joke Star Wars Squadrons Esports cast, but hey, that's what we're bringing to you here live.
Delicious. Things you'll love to see. And then Hammer I would be closing it off tomorrow, which is going to be super exciting. So
pumped to see you guys.
I am excited.
A lot of cool
the
matches.
The myth, the legend is how I described you on stream earlier today.
Nice.
Quench, the man behind the scenes, the man of mystery, the one whispering in our ears as we cast.
Guys, we're going to go to ad read and break.
We're gonna and then nobody hears them, and then we just keep gabbing the entire time. No, it's great, fantastically effective. Yeah.
At Uplink, please break. Speaking of Quench, my drink of choice is always water. So
stay hydrated.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
There it is.
It's funny because I recently went for just my annual blood work for doctor stuff, and my doctor's like, "Do you take blood thinners?" I'm like, "No, I'm just really hydrated." It was like probably one of the weirdest discussions I had with a doctor, and they're like, "Damn, you got good vein. Like, can we take some
good
more?"
blood.
Congratulations, your blood's really easy to get out of you.
I don't know if you should be happy about that.
I was just like, sweet, I'm good. Got good blood, got good water. So
Don't tell any vampires that.
if any vampires are watching, please don't. I got dummy thick blood. Don't come by, please. I'm pretty excited for tomorrow, friends. You know what's funny? We've been talking for nearly 2 hours. Actually, just over 2 hours here. And I just realized now, Uplink, that your shirt says Uplink. So
Yes. Gotta rep the merch, baby.
Hell yeah.
like,
Where can we get that? I'm curious.
Oh,
Yes, please show.
TeePublic. TeePublic. You can find Uplink Podcasts on TeePublic.com.
Is it a different
/user/uplink-podcast.
slash?
Using my hacker skills.
Is there a coupon code that you want to throw at us?
I wish they gave me coupon codes.
I like the Imperial Lights one.
I was a
Oh.
big fan of that one too.
Yeah, it's not. It's subtle. I could wear it underneath this.
Exactly. I wanted like
as,
this
as
one.
we transition into like an Uplink merch show, but I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Like
go.
this one and the lights one, I was like, I want something that's subtle, that's not like super over the top Star Wars, but like you could wear somewhere. And people like,
Ooh,
because
we're going back to
uplink
the
is
Jerry
also like
dockyards, too.
a hacking term too, so you can be like super cool and hacker as well.
Ooh, yeah, hacker man, nice.
So before we get into the final match here, which I know we're just a minute away from, what has been your absolute favorite Star Wars game outside of Squadrons? Go.
whoa.
I mean, mine would probably have to be Shadows of the Empire. Was definitely one of my favorites next to Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds.
Okay.
Okay. I have
it's
to
so
look it
hard.
up. Oh, hang on just a second. You guys do your thing. I'll be right back.
It's a tie between the first Lego Star Wars game and probably Battlefront 2, the OG.
Love it.
Also, like, I have a lot of nostalgia for the first Rogue Squadron too. So I don't know, man. It's hard. There's so many good ones.
It'd probably be either the OG Battlefront 2 on the PSP,
Love it.
Specifically,
yeah, or Rogue Squadron 3.
Rogue Squadron
Artie
3 was
and-
probably one of the best in the series.
True, but
I
3 had the
just
co-op. I played with my buddy,
love
so I was
that
like,
game.
whoa.
All right, so I'm gonna date myself here. So it is the official Parker video game cartridge, 1982. It's the year I was born. There we go. We could date it all the way back.
Oh,
For
there
the
you go.
Intellivision video game console, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. It was my very
Ooh.
first Star Wars experience in a video game. The opening is identical to Shadows of the Empire, where you're flying around in an airspeeder trying to take down walkers on the approach. It's amazing that it took, essentially 20 years to get all the way back in Shadows. But you can't, other than Squadrons, like if I try to think about some of those iconic moments in Star Wars video gaming history, taking down freaking AT-ATs with an airspeeder are just that. Whether it's Shadows of the Empire or that, the Parker video game cartridge from 1982, it is just that good.
I'll have
Good
to look
gravy.
that up.
I mean,
Check it out. Man, it's, you know what it is? I'm going to look that up now. Not right now, but later. But
yeah.
You know what's
Super
funny
Star
is,
Wars
like,
in the Chat is also a really good one.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, on the
Super Star
SNES?
Wars,
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes.
Oh.
It's hard, man. Little kid me couldn't do it. I had to have my dad come downstairs and beat like the first like 2 levels for me.
I mean, I don't know how many times I ended up replaying Shadows of the Empire, right? So, it's so awesome that that's the first level, like on Hoth. Okay, great. You're just gonna open up with awesome airspeeder action, and that's just okay. That's where I'm gonna spend the majority of my time, even though I have to replay this game 15 million times to get to the end of it. Okay, sure, why not?
Oh.
I mean, becoming an ace, TIE fighter pilot for the Emperor in the TIE Fighter DOS video game. Oh man, I'm trying to remember. Claiming that I was the greatest TIE fighter pilot in all of history at the age of 16, I think. I installed it. Oh boy, we're really getting into some history here. I installed it on the Band Room 486 computer that was there because it happened to be something that could actually run the game at the time. Like, hey, I'll just stay after school and hang out here. Oh, yeah, I'm just doing some homework. In the meantime, all right, what does the Emperor want me to do in this mission? Okay, great, let's do it. Oh,
So-
man.
Here's a deep cut. I know this game is objectively like the worst Star Wars game ever, but when you're a little kid, you don't know. Yoda's Stories. My dad had it on the PC, and
Wow.
I was like 4, and that was fun. That was fun. But then it's like I go and like read reviews nowadays. Like, yeah, it's like the worst game ever. I'm like, okay, I know, right?
One single tear for Yoda's Stories.
All right, what do we got going on?
Oh
in
my
the
goodness, you're making my neurons link, bro. There was this. Oh, I never gave the answer about merch, and now I have an answer. So, there was this thing you put over top your keyboard, and you had your Star Wars action figures, and it was like the
Comtech.
it's like the Millennium Falcon, and you put your players on it, and like you mash the players down on their seats, and like things would happen on the screen. I don't know what that was called. But that thing, I played it so many times. I have to now find it. Oh my goodness. That's a deep cut.
Oh, so it would actually like push the buttons on the certain buttons on the keyboard based
Yeah.
on the action figures
I know
you're
what
pushing
you're
down,
talking
like old school, like like the Lego or the Meebo figures these days, right?
Yeah, it had
Those
like
are the
little
OG
had little
amiibos.
things that would press down the keys.
Man, that's classic.
Yeah.
That takes me way back.
I don't even know how to Google this. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there's like this blue button in the middle. Bruh.
Oh, what a drift. Love that.
Right. In the meantime, we've got Fracture here showing off against a Skull Squadron. We saw Fracture taken, I think, in 2 in the last one, and also Skull Squadron doing well. Let's see.
Just hearing Hammer out everyone's going, no. That's what I love about the
I'm
video.
still vibing
Oh
to
boy,
the
the
CD box set.
CD-ROM. I love how they called it the CD-ROM playset.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It had a little walkway up too, so you could like move your figures up. Oh, it was so cool.
See, this is what I like about this map here, is the Nidiri Dark Areas. When you're coming through the tunnels and just the lead up to take out these cruisers, it's just so cool.
Oh yeah, right. Like I mean, not only great. It's there's a strategic choice to pick like Nidiri Dockyards, right? It's seen as a bit of an equalizer in terms of the AI farm game, all sorts of different stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then also like it's just cool to watch, right?
That's
like,
exactly
where
it,
do you,
yeah.
where else can you see like these narrow channels of attack going on and all these other sort of structures flying around you? And oh hey, also don't run into stuff.
By the way, there are things here you will hit.
Right, these invincible antennas you just hit but to rip a side of your TIE fighter off on, right? Like, oh hey, look at that.
Can you imagine if you actually could take debris
I'm
with
dead.
you?
Pilot error strikes again.
Man, pilot error OP. OP. The one button, the one debuff.
Every time. I swear, officer, that phone pole came out of nowhere. I don't know what happened.
Boy, this is, I mean, we've got, wow, I mean, I think this is maybe even, right, some of the meta changes you're seeing so far. Even here, right, we're 3 Y-Wings deep, not an X-Wing in sight for Fracture. How do you think
High
this is going to
DPS.
shape up in some of the games tomorrow, given some of the changes we've seen so far?
Teams are learning to not go back and switch. We saw it last tourney, obviously, right? But I think it's just been reinforced in the meta, in the plays that have happened. And yeah, I mean, the Y-Wing. Why am I forgetting? The Y-Wing buff. You can actually do exactly what we just saw. Drift around it and not lose all your engines. Like, a game changer. Absolute game changer. We're going to see a lot more Y-Wing, right? It can survive now.
I
It can
have
also
to
ping pong.
point out Reflex. That's probably one of my favorite items on their dash, and it just reminds me of a milk carton on their right hand side. It's like, I know it's
Oh, the
Imperial
cards.
metals, but it's literally, to me, it looks like just, yeah, it just looks like a milk carton. It makes me laugh every time
Little
I see
blue
it.
milk carton.
Yeah. Going right for the ISD. Look at this.
Yeah,
Jumping
a
in.
fast push, right? The game's about momentum, right? If you can, the hardest part on some of these first assaults is getting past the front line that gets built. The longer that you stand on, like a defense, right? Because the game's about, like, the game has map pressure, so you let them build too long, it's going to be a 5v5 pretty far out mid. But if you can get in there and not die, keep it like at half engines and get some solid runs down, like you're going to be ahead of the game. Poor guy, though.
Oh,
Ooh.
McClunky,
Poor
no.
McClunky clunking around. Maybe.
Those, I mean, right? You make a couple of bonks there. You still manage to get a. Oh, maybe. No,
Not too
just
sure.
barely not. Shield generator at the end of the day there. Those giant pylons for engines on the side of this thing. You know, the pontoon boat of the stars. You still got to watch out for where those things land.
Oh, there's the meme beam. We saw the meme beam.
Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous meme beam.
Blazing across the stars, mean beam.
Oof.
So good.
I mean, hey, let's say it. At the end of the day, that's what I'm here for.
I'm here for B-wing bombing runs, and I'm here for meme beams.
I
Let's
need
be real.
Squadrons the musical.
Dude, same.
Squadrons the musical. That's right.
Squadrons on ice.
Oh boy, you know what? We haven't seen it so far. You know, it is one of those things we will, or we did before, of course. You know, the pandemic and all that jazz, right? We did see Disney on Ice a few times. Hadn't had a chance to see any integration from the Star Wars IP in anything, right? It's all, you know, mostly Disney princes and princesses running around, skating around on ice. What would that be like?
So
Seeing somebody sort of skate out on ice in an ISD outfit and a bunch of X-wings on the other side of the ring.
Robot Chicken has done exactly this.
Oh, oh man.
Yeah, they have their Star Wars on Ice skit that came out years ago, and it is golden. I love it. One of my favorite skits.
Oh man, now, oh boy, now what a faux pas. I'll have to go back and look up that now. Good times.
Man, I
Man,
just
what
love the small details when we look in third person, like here, just seeing like the micro engine like burst, like it's just so cool. It's the small details
Man,
you appreciate really.
Nadiri
Here.
is such an unforgiving map, man. The packs are so much of a pain in the ass to find. You're stuck on PKs, and just a demoralizer every time it flips.
Look out.
95. I don't have no idea where the subs are at. I don't know if they got a shield down the last game either, but
I mean, it doesn't look like they did if the shields are back at full there.
true. You got the big brain.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know if I've even finished my placements in this next series, but I still, you know, it's interesting. I will say one of the things Dad Squadron is looking forward to is a bit of the old reset. We got really good at the game really early in the game when the matchmaking was really wonky, right? And so
SR.
now essentially we can't compete at any level because like our matchmaking MMR behind the scenes is just too high. And I'll even see an advertisement for a casual tournament, like, oh, hey, maybe I can play in that. And they're like, oh, well, hey, listen, if you've got higher than an 80% win rate, then can't. That's, you know, this is for folks that aren't playing professionally. And I'm like, oh, dang it, I don't know how many games I'd have to lose to actually compete these days. Oh man, good times.
Nice.
Hey, and there's that second ISD shield shot.
But with what morale? It's the sad part.
Very true, very true.
Yeah, all depends if they've knocked out power, but I'm not seeing weak points, right?
All right, you got one, maybe two, but yeah, not enough. And you can see them even all start to recruit there for defense.
They have a defense here and they're fine.
Right.
Because the MC75 has had no damage to it, no subs. So unless they really flub their defense, it's a 4v5, 3 Ys. And the AI pathing right here should be a little more forgiving because we're in flagship now. Though it is Nadiri, so I mean, go screw yourself sometimes. But
Nope.
that's the
Thought better
thing
it.
about shield gens that drives me insane. So I could not for the life of me figure out the first 3 weeks playing, like, why am I doing no damage on the shields? you have to run at them or at least angle your ship directly in front of the shields to get damage down. If you fly in, like, nose the MC-75 forward and then try to hit the shields at, like, a tight angle
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
you'll
front,
never do it.
you'll hit the hole instead because of the way the MC-75 is shaped. And it threw me off for so long.
And, I mean, players these days are way better at it. And I'm like, okay, well, the easy mode is, at least for me, is, all right, I'm just going to go from the power system and then flip north, if you want to call it that, right? Flip up and try to target it from underneath because you can kind of get a bigger run, if you want to call it a mini sloop on it from there. But it's a longer run, and if I knew how to drift better, it wouldn't be a problem. But I don't. I don't know if it's just the way my HOTAS is configured for the PlayStation or not, but I can't drift for.
Well, that
I can't
MC-75
drift at all.
it isn't out of phasable from last I saw. It's in its 30s. Those galls are going to be pretty.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with being in your
24.
30s, all right?
That was good. Good goof.
Yeah, I think this game is pretty. I mean, I don't want to call it till it's called, but this game's pretty fractured so far. Because it's not out of phaseable. Are they going to go for it instead? Is the big question. It's still it is in its 30s, but if they can make it work, they can make it work. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's still enough on that ISD that a strong defense can hold out, but it's they're not. It's interesting because they don't seem to be making that play right now. Maybe they are trying to go for that dive on the.
That looks like
well, they do know that they've got no shields left on the ISD, right? They've got no shields left. The Raider's gonna get down damage regardless. They've got to burn that Raider quick. But yeah, it's as we can see, there goes the ISD. Absent chat, boys and ladies. I think that's how this works. Boomer me doesn't get this whole new fracture joke, but there they are. There's the Fs.
There's the Fs for Fracture Squadron there. Oh, McClunky bringing home that center spot for Fracture there. A fair number of player kills. Some good AI kind of spread about. Player damage or cap ship damage as well. McClunky with 70K on that cap ship.
Wow. Not too shabby there.
That was intense to watch. Nadiri is one of my favorite maps to watch just because of all the cool choke points. And like we said, the AI mapping really makes it have some really opportunities for some really cool cinematic shots there that, like we said, really cool storytelling opportunity if you get the right camera in there. And it's just like, love to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Definitely.
I think we'll see. I don't know. Out of the last Cal Cup we had, we had some great cinematic opportunities. I think we're gonna see even more of those good moments this time around.
With bombers this time.
Oh, with bombers! Bombers doing
time.
bomber things.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. So, friends, any final thoughts before we head off for the night?
Don't let Splinter win.
Mauled in chat.
Scott says bold. It's bold.
That is rude.
I still
Hammer,
like you.
any final
I still like you,
shots?
Scott.
I'm excited to see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm hyped. I can't think of anything to say beyond that. I'm excited to. Did we say, Steve, what's going on tomorrow with you and I?
No. You can lead it.
Okay. As you know, the beginning of it is smooth, jazzy, with R1 and Uplink, but the second half of the show is going to be exciting. I'm going to be there. I think that's pretty evident as I'm talking.
But we will have the one, the only, the stay hydrated, the Mr. Quench himself is going to be joining me.
I'm pretty excited.
I am super excited.
It's going to be fun. I've studied you for months, so.
Oh my!
While you were casting Squadrons, I was studying the blade.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. That's actually so funny. Yeah, I'm honestly super excited to partner up tomorrow. Get behind the cast, bring out my old tie. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Bringing out the tie.
Suit up, baby.
Fancy
Yeah,
schmancy.
tomorrow's suit up day. So today was
Snazzy.
casual day, and tomorrow's suit up. So I'm pretty excited.
Right.
So, all right, friends. Uplink,
Well,
any final comments, thoughts?
Star Wars Squadrons Esports.
Esports.
Let's go.
And on that note, friends, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Steve, or Captain Quench, the host for today, and I am super pumped to see y'all tomorrow. Stay tuned to the Calrissian Cup Twitter, as we'll be announcing when the stream will be going live. So until then, friends, goodbye and good gaming.